Chapter 2409. Are you causing trouble? 1. After saying these words, the Peacock King looked at Leng Ruoxue with a sorrowful expression. The expression on his face seemed to be saying, "Please protect me, please help me." However, when the peacocks who knew the situation heard their king's words, not only did they break out in cold sweat, but all of them were also embarrassed. This was because their innocent and honest Peacock King had been corrupted. It was dyed black. Thinking back, the Peacock King was simply a piece of pure white paper. Of course, it was the same for them. However, after having a black sesame-filled master, they all became black as well. This was all thanks to Master's guidance. The peacocks felt sorry for him. In fact, the Peacock King's words were full of water. Although the Phoenix King had taken advantage of the fact that their master was not around to come out and tease their king, and had also warned their king, it was definitely not as serious as the Peacock King had said. The Phoenix King had only asked their Peacock King to think carefully whether he really wanted to leave the Phoenix territory and follow a woman who did not seem very reliable to wander the world. The Peacock King immediately rejected the Phoenix King and expressed that they were willing to follow their master. In fact, they had already acknowledged their master, so there was no use for the Phoenix King to say anything. More importantly, their king and some of the peacocks in the Peacock tribe had long wanted to leave the Phoenix tribe. This was the best opportunity for them to leave. They would be stupid to let it go. Therefore, the Phoenix King's provocation did not achieve the effect she had imagined. Instead, it caused the Peacock King to complain to her in front of his master. At that moment, some of the more kind-hearted peacocks began to sympathize with the Phoenix King. They wondered how their master would treat the Phoenix King. However, when they thought of their master's bad reputation, all the peacocks believed that the Phoenix King would definitely not be able to take advantage of their master. With this thought in mind, they suddenly became eager to try. Even some peacocks that weren't afraid of trouble immediately echoed the Peacock King and howled, "My lord! The king is right, the Phoenix King has gone too far. Not only did she flirt with our king, but she also incited her clansmen to flirt with us. Woo! You have to help us." As soon as he said this, all the peacocks turned their gazes to an ordinary-looking peacock. The Peacock King gave the peacock a satisfied look that said he was a promising student. When the peacock saw this, it became even more proud. The Peacock King did not feel guilty at all for framing the Phoenix King. He had wanted to do this for a long time, but he did not have the courage to do so. Now that the Phoenix King's master had changed, he truly felt that there was no need for him to be afraid anymore. Therefore, he made use of the words a fox exploiting a tiger's might very well. With one peacock leading the way, the other peacocks quickly reacted and began to accuse the Phoenix clan of their atrocities one after another. "My lord! I've been touched by a phoenix. My lord! The Phoenix clan wants to take me by force. My lord! The Phoenix kind is threatening me." As she listened to all these complaints, cold sweat began to form on Leng Ruoxue's forehead. She didn't even need to ask to know that these peacocks who loved to see the world in chaos were deliberately causing trouble. Although she believed that a certain someone would definitely covet these peacocks if they were left here, but to bully her peacocks so brazenly and even let these peacocks have the chance to complain to her, just how stupid was a certain someone. In an instant, Leng Ruoxue started to sympathize with a certain someone. But if you want to bully Beastie, you still have to look at the master. Thanks to dare bully her Beastie, no matter what the other party's intentions were, it was unforgivable. With this thought in mind, Leng Ruoxue immediately shouted at the top of her lungs, "Your Highness! The Phoenix King! Get the hell out here!" Leng Ruoxue had intentionally added some divine power into her voice. As such, the sound spread over a wide area. Almost all the phoenixes in the Phoenix clan had heard the sound and were attracted over. The elders of the Phoenix clan thought that someone had come to cause trouble, so they ran to the Phoenix King Palace in a panic. Wasn't this Lord Lianwu? Causing trouble? After a guard's big mouth spread the news of Lord Lianwu's identity, almost everyone in the Phoenix clan knew. As a result, many phoenixes respected her, or at least did not dare to offend her. After all, she was God Master Rhyme's favorite. But what was the situation now? What was this? The elders of the Feng clan looked at each other, but no one dared to step forward and ask. They could all feel Lord Wu's aura, which was about to explode. It was quite powerful. They were all a little nervous. Seeing that the number of phoenixes had increased, Lung Ruoxue deliberately put on an arrogant expression. She raised her chin and said with a look of disdain, "Tell the Phoenix King to come out. Do you think you'll be fine if you close your eyes?" The elders of the Feng clan all wiped their sweat. This Lord Lianwu was really too rude. He actually asked their Phoenix King to come out. The great Phoenix King, even if she wanted to come out, she couldn't use the role. "What? I can't order you around, can I? I'll give you 5 minutes to get the Phoenix King to come out and see me. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite." Lung Ruoxue shouted again when she saw the elders of the Phoenix clan standing there in a daze. "Master! Master is so brave." It was too great. When the peacocks heard this, their eyes turned red and they looked at Lung Ruoxue with adoration. Their gazes of adoration that they did not even bother to hide made Lung Ruoxue feel a little embarrassed. However, who was Lung Ruoxue? Her mental endurance was still very strong. So, she only felt awkward for a moment before she calmed down. However, it was a pity that the elders of the Phoenix clan still did not know what to do after hearing Lung Ruoxue's threat. The elders of the Feng clan were in a dilemma. At the same time, he couldn't help but resent the Phoenix King. Why did he have to provoke this fiend for no reason? This was especially so for the elders of the Phoenix clan. When they saw another blood-red token appear in Lung Ruoxue's hand and she was even playing with it casually, the corners of their mouths could not help but twitch. Was this a threat? They already recognized the medallion and knew that it was personally bestowed by God Lord Fogripple. Thus, although they were a little angry at Lord Lianwu, they did not dare to show it. Faced with the silence of the elders of the Phoenix clan, Lung Ruoxue was starting to get impatient. Why were all these elders of the Phoenix clan just standing there and doing nothing? No wonder the Phoenix clan was not as powerful as it used to be. This is really disappointing. As for the Phoenix King, she had already said that. She didn't believe that the Phoenix King couldn't hear her. With this thought in mind, Lung Ruoxue did not want to wait any longer. She brought her men to the entrance of the Phoenix King's chamber and kicked open the door of the main hall. Then she swaggered in. Chapter 24:10. Are you causing trouble? 2. The elders of the Phoenix clan who had followed along could not stop Lung Ruoxue's violent actions in time and were squeezed to the back of the line by the many peacocks. The elders of the Feng clan who had followed them here were all very anxious. At this moment, they heard another scream. Instantly, the faces of the elders of the Phoenix race changed. They rushed into the main hall, only to find that they were surrounded by huge peacocks. In their human forms, they couldn't squeeze in at all. Move aside." An elder of the Phoenix tribe asked anxiously. However, the peacock in front of him blocked the door as if it hadn't heard him. In the end, the peacock in front of a certain Phoenix elder was so annoyed by the noise that it turned around and glared at the Phoenix elder who was trying to squeeze into the hall, and roared, "What are you squeezing for? Can't you see that there's a traffic jam ahead?" It also wanted to go in and watch the show. It couldn't even walk in, so how could it make way? The peacock was extremely excited to hear that he had shouted at the elder of the Phoenix tribe. It was good to have a new master. If it was in the past, it would never have dared to speak to the elders of the Phoenix tribe like this. As for the Phoenix tribe elder who had been yelled at, he was completely dumbfounded. He was actually roared by a peacock. This was definitely a heaven-defying rhythm. For many years, the peacock tribe had always been a subsidiary of the Phoenix tribe. They had been ordered around like servants. But now, the peacock tribe actually looked down on the Phoenix tribe. This was really a rebellion. At this moment, not only was one elder thinking this way, many other elders were thinking the same way. However, not all of them could accept such a huge difference. However, before some of the elders of the Phoenix clan who were filled with righteous indignation could regain their dignity, they heard another scream coming from the hall. The scream was so miserable that the elders' hearts trembled uncontrollably. It's really terrifying, isn't it? More importantly, they didn't know what had happened in the hall, So all of them felt like there was a kitten in their hearts, and it was unbearable to be scratched by a cat. What's going on inside? Some of the elders couldn't stand their curiosity anymore, so they had no choice but to put down their airs and ask the peacock who was blocking their way. However, the peacocks who were asked didn't give them any good looks. Instead, they replied fiercely, "How would I know? I can't see it either." The elders of the Feng clan were in a mess. The miserable howls inside made them feel more and more uneasy. At this moment, a handsome man squeezed his way out of the main hall. All the elders of the Phoenix tribe looked at him. It was the Peacock King. In the next second, the elders of the Phoenix tribe had the Peacock King surrounded. The Peacock King's face paled when he saw this. He asked in a trembling voice, "What are you doing?" "Peacock King, don't be afraid. We just want to ask you, what's going on inside?" An elder of the Phoenix tribe smiled and said in what he thought was a very kind tone, "Are you really going to tell me?" The Peacock King looked at the Phoenix elder with a troubled expression and asked hesitantly, "Speak. We can't get in, so we don't know the situation inside. We're so anxious that we're on fire." An elder of the Phoenix clan said honestly, "Thanks, actually, it's not a big deal." The Peacock King looked at the elders of the Phoenix race who had surrounded him. Nothing major? Why was there a scream from inside? "Peacock King, if you have something to say, you can just say it. We won't blame you." The elders of the Phoenix tribe had thought that the Peacock King was too afraid to say anything. Therefore, they had made their stand clear. "All right then. This is what you wanted me to say. Don't you regret this?" The Peacock King said cautiously. He paused on purpose to look at the elders of the Phoenix tribe. As for the elders of the Phoenix race, they were all extremely worried by the Peacock King's intermittent words. Seeing this, Peacock King didn't hesitate and said, "The Phoenix King has fainted." "What?" The elders of the Phoenix clan were all shocked. How could the Phoenix King have fainted? Could it be that Lord Lianwu had attacked him? Seeing through the thoughts of the elders, the Peacock King continued, "The Phoenix King fainted because he had overindulged in his sexual desires." After saying that, Peacock King's face turned red. The elders of the Feng clan were petrified. Did he faint from overindulgence? This was too embarrassing, wasn't it? After they finally regained their composure, some of the thin-skinned elders of the Phoenix clan were too embarrassed to continue staying in the Phoenix King Palace. Otherwise, they would be so embarrassed that they would be unable to show their faces. After leaving an elder to take care of the Phoenix King, the other elders all left the Phoenix King Palace without looking back. Seeing the elders of the Phoenix race leave just like that, the Peacock King was dumbfounded. Did these elders really believe him? This was simply too unbelievable. Originally, he had thought that these old phoenixes would not believe him. He had even prepared a lot of excuses to persuade them, but who knew that the set of words he had prepared in advance would not be used? Peacock King didn't feel any sense of accomplishment. In fact, he even felt a slight sense of loss. At this moment, he was unwilling to give up. He grabbed the elder of the Phoenix clan who had been left behind and said with a gloomy expression, "Why do you all believe my words so much? Aren't you afraid that I'm lying to you?" "You lied to us? Was there a need for that? Besides, it's not the first time that the Phoenix King has overindulged in sex. However, it's the first time that she fainted." A certain elder of the Phoenix tribe said with a disapproving look. Hearing this, the Peacock King fell silent. Alright, the Phoenix King was a repeat offender. Therefore, the elders of the Phoenix clan acted as if it was only natural and not so easily believed in his words. Peacock King was speechless. He then looked up at the sky at a 45-degree angle with a sorrowful expression. Was he being too ignorant? At the same time, a certain elder of the Phoenix tribe who had just finished speaking gave the Peacock King a quick glance before squeezing his way into the hall. When he arrived at the Phoenix King's bedroom, he saw that the Phoenix King was lying on the big red bed unconscious. The two beautiful male servants beside him were already scared silly. They were half naked and crying with snot and tears. Even Lord Wu and the peacocks were watching from the side. They didn't even say anything about covering the unsightly Phoenix King with a blanket. This was really too much. Although that was what the elder was thinking, he did not dare to show it on his face. Instead, he quickly picked up the blanket from the bed and covered the Phoenix King tightly. Then, a certain elder of the Phoenix clan turned around and discussed with Lung Ruoxue apologetically, "Lord Lianwu, it's really not convenient for my Phoenix King to meet with guests right now. How about you go back first? I'll send someone to inform you when the Phoenix King wakes up." "No, I want to stay and help." Lung Ruoxue rejected without even thinking. Chapter 24:11. Are you causing trouble? 3. Hearing this, an elder of the Phoenix tribe was in a dilemma. Stay and help? What did you help? Shouldn't they be watching the fun? A certain elder of the Phoenix clan was complaining nonstop, but he really didn't dare to force Lung Ruoxue to leave. If she were to complain to Lady Wooly, the Phoenix clan would definitely not be able to bear the consequences. At this moment, a certain elder of the Phoenix tribe was truly resentful of the Phoenix King. Why did he have to provoke this guy? Great, this is embarrassing, right? Even though the elder of the Phoenix clan hated the Phoenix King for not living up to his expectations, he knew that the Phoenix King represented the face of the Phoenix clan. If the Phoenix King were to be disgraced, the Phoenix clan would be disgraced as well. Hence, after some thought, he discussed with Lung Ruoxue, "Lord Lianwu, look at our king's current situation. Can you let these peacocks leave for a while so as not to disturb his rest? If there's anything, why don't we wait until the king awakens?" "All right then." Lung Ruoxue nodded in agreement. Then she gave the peacocks a look. Those peacocks who had not seen enough of the commotion left the Phoenix King's chamber unwillingly. A certain elder of the Phoenix clan who was in a dilemma felt relieved when he saw that the bedroom of the Phoenix King was finally much quieter. However, when he turned around and saw that Lung Ruoxue had no intention of leaving, his heart tightened again. Those peacocks were easy to deal with, but this person was not so easily chased away. What should he do? A certain elder of the Phoenix tribe was at a loss. In the end, he steeled his heart and took the initiative to pull Lung Ruoxue's arm affectionately. They walked out of the palace together and even tried to get closer to Lung Ruoxue. "Lord Lianwu, let's go, I'll treat you to a few drinks." Lung Ruoxue didn't reject this. When they walked out of the main hall and saw the peacocks, Lung Ruoxue purposely mentioned, "The elders of the Feng clan want to treat us to a few drinks. It's more lively with more people." The peacocks all cheered when they heard this. The face of the old phoenix who came up with this idea instantly darkened. With so many peacocks, how much must he drink and eat to have enough? At this moment, another peacock said to Lung Ruoxue with a look of yearning, "My lord, the Phoenix clan's 100-flower wine is not bad. We should drink more." He even wanted to drink the 100-flower wine. The poor elder's heart skipped a beat, and he wished he could just faint as well. Initially, he had only suggested this to find an excuse to drag Lung Ruoxue out of the Phoenix King's chamber. After all, the Phoenix King's current appearance was not suitable for outsiders to see. However, he had never expected these peacocks to have such a huge appetite. They even wanted to drink the Phoenix clan's 100-flower wine. Could anyone drink that 100 flowers wine? One should know that unless it was an important festival of the Phoenix clan, even the elders of the Phoenix clan were not qualified to taste the 100-flower wine. And these hateful guys actually asked for the 100-flower wine. Wasn't this asking for his old life? However, Lung Ruoxue was obviously very interested in the peacock's suggestion. She smiled at a certain elder of the Phoenix clan who had a dark expression on her face and said, "Then we'll have to trouble this elder to prepare some 100-flower wine for us. She wouldn't be polite. I will try my best. The 100-flower wine is quite rare, I can't guarantee it." An elder of the Phoenix clan, who was already numb from anger, said with a constipated expression. Unfortunately, Lung Ruoxue wasn't satisfied with his answer. She immediately put on a straight face and said, "Is this how your Phoenix clan treats its guests? Such a petty man, how disappointing." "It is. You are too stingy." All the peacocks agreed in unison, and a certain Phoenix tribe elder almost fainted from anger. A certain elder of the Phoenix clan's face was flushed red as his lips trembled as he looked at Lung Ruoxue. Just when Lung Ruoxue thought that this elder was about to explode, Who knew that the elder would actually squat down and start crying? Was there a need to? Lung Ruoxue was speechless. It's just a little wine. He had actually made an elder cry. Die. Lung Ruoxue sighed helplessly. She felt as if she was riding a tiger and couldn't back down. However, when she saw the expressions of anticipation on the faces of the peacocks, she didn't want to disappoint them. After some thought, Lung Ruoxue took out a bottle of wine, opened it, and placed it in front of a certain crying Phoenix clan elder. She deliberately shook it, and in an instant, the sobbing Phoenix clan elder was attracted by the fragrance of the wine. The elder of the Phoenix tribe was not the only one who was attracted by the wine. All the peacocks of the peacock tribe were craning their necks to look at the wine. The peacock king, who was the only one who had tasted the wine, saw his master take out the wine again. His eyes lit up, but he immediately understood his master's meaning. He couldn't help but jump up and down in anxiety. Thanks, however, before he could stop her, he heard Lung Ruoxue say to the elder of the Phoenix clan, "How about I use this wine to exchange for your Phoenix clan's 100-flower wine? Our Phoenix clan's 100-flower wine uses 100 types of fire attribute flowers. It contains rich fire attribute spiritual chi, which is the most suitable for our Phoenix clan." A certain Phoenix tribe elder said, suppressing the temptation of the liquor worm in his heart. He said this only because he wanted to gain some capital for the Phoenix tribe. Who would have thought that Lung Ruoxue would only smile faintly after hearing his words? This wine of mine is brewed using over 100 types of heavenly treasures. The spiritual chi contained within it is suitable for humans and beasts of any attribute. Compared to your Phoenix clan's 100-flower wine, its grade is not just a little bit higher. Of course, if you don't think it's worth it, you don't have to trade with me. My dear, don't exchange with them. We've lost too much. When the Peacock King heard this, he quickly stopped her. When the other peacocks heard that their master's wine was brewed with over 100 heavenly treasures, they were all excited and strongly requested not to exchange the 100-flower wine with the Phoenix clan. Compared to master's wine, the 100-flowers wine is simply not enough. However, when Lung Ruoxue heard the peacock's words, she laughed nonchalantly. Wine is meant to be drunk. Since you've never tasted the Phoenix clan's 100-flower wine, I'll exchange some for you to try. As for my wine, you can drink as much as you want in the future. You don't have to feel bad about it. Look at how heartwarming master's words were. In an instant, all the peacocks were moved to tears. Some of the more emotional peacocks even choked on their tears and shouted, "Long live Darren! Darren is really too good." The excitement of the peacocks made a certain elder of the Phoenix tribe feel deeply jealous. All of a sudden, he felt that he was very pitiful. He had been toiling like a horse for the Phoenix clan, but he didn't even have the chance to taste the 100-flower wine. Lung Ruoxue glanced at the depressed elder of the Phoenix clan and smiled seductively. "You'll have to trouble elder to help me exchange some 100-flower wine for a taste. This bottle of wine will be your reward." With that, Lung Ruoxue did not care whether the elder of the Phoenix clan rejected her or not. She immediately stuffed the bottle of wine she had taken out into the hands of the elder. The elder of the Phoenix clan put away the wine without a second thought. With a charming smile, she nodded and said, "Lord Lianwu, don't worry. I definitely won't let you down. However, how do you want to exchange this wine? I want a 1-to-5 ratio. If the Phoenix clan can accept it, I'll exchange it for 100 jars." Lung Ruoxue said after counting the number of people on her side. Buzz. An elder of the Phoenix tribe drew a sharp intake of breath upon hearing this. 100 pots. As expected, he was a rich man who spent a lot of money. Lung Ruoxue had only given him a small bottle, but a jar of wine could hold at least 100 bottles. Hence, 100 jars of wine was definitely not a small amount, and that was the amount offered by the other party. On the other hand, according to the 1-to-5 ratio for the Phoenix clan, that would be 500 jars. 500 pots. He didn't know if the Phoenix clan could afford it. At this moment, Lung Ruoxue noticed that the elder of the Phoenix clan seemed to be hesitating and whispered something into his ear. The moment the elder heard this, he immediately perked up as if he had been injected with chicken blood. He promised again and again that he would do his best. Soon after, a certain elder of the Phoenix clan, who was so excited that he was almost on cloud 9, left the Phoenix King palace. As for the unlucky Phoenix King who had fainted, he had long forgotten about her. Seeing the abnormal behavior of the Phoenix tribe elder, Peacock King moved closer to Lung Ruoxue with a curious expression and asked, "My dear, what did you say to that elder of the Phoenix clan?" Ignoring the word dear, Lung Ruoxue calmly replied, "I only told him that the wine bottle I gave him was a spatial wine bottle, and there was at least half a jar of wine in it. If he couldn't do it, he had to return it to me." Half a jar. The Peacock King's words were instantly attracted by these two words. He didn't hear Lung Ruoxue's words clearly as he shouted, "What a waste! What a waste! Wu, look at how stingy you are. If you don't give him something in return, will he do his best to exchange wine for us?" Lung Ruoxue glanced at the pained-looking Peacock King and said with a hint of disappointment, "My dear, I think we've suffered a great loss. You still want to exchange for 100 jars? Let's not exchange, okay? We won't drink the 100-flower wine, okay?" The Peacock King suggested with a bitter face. He really felt that it was not worth it. Not good. It didn't hit. "I also want to try the Phoenix clan's 100-flower wine." Lung Ruoxue smiled evilly. In fact, the reason why she wanted to change so much was because of Feng Zhan's request. The old phoenixes in the bracelet missed the taste of the 100-flower wine very much, and her wine was nothing special to those old phoenixes. Therefore, she didn't feel that it was a big deal. It was a pity that the Peacock King didn't understand the situation. Therefore, he was so remorseful that his intestines turned green. He didn't have a good expression on his face when he heard the peacock's suggestion to drink the 100-flower wine. Instantly, the atmosphere was so tense that the peacocks present didn't even dare to breathe. Not long after, the elder of the Phoenix clan, who was in charge of getting Lung Ruoxue some wine, came running back in a hurry. "Lord Lianwu, it's done. I've brought the 100-flower wine. Shall we exchange now?" An elder of the Phoenix tribe said excitedly. This time he had really gained some face. "Yes." Lung Ruoxue nodded and took out 100 jars of wine. The elders of the Phoenix clan also brought out the wine they had brought with them. After a quick check, both parties were very satisfied. After rejecting the Phoenix clan elders' polite invitation to stay, Lung Ruoxue led the peacocks and Feng Xiu's family out of the Phoenix clan in a grand manner. Of course, before she left, Lung Ruoxue did not forget to tell the Phoenix clan elder to inform her when the Phoenix King woke up. She still had a score to settle with the Phoenix King. Chapter 24:12, Banquet at Hongmen, 1. After hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, a certain elder of the Phoenix clan who had watched Lung Ruoxue and the others leave, was petrified. Why does this Lord Lianwu still remember this? Did he really think that Lianwu Darren had already forgotten? What should he do? In fact, the reason why the elders of the Feng clan had so readily agreed to exchange wine with Lord Lianwu was that the wine was indeed rare. Another reason was that they hoped Lord Lianwu would forget the grudge between him and the Phoenix King. Otherwise, if he really wanted to find fault with the Phoenix King, it would make them quite conflicted and embarrassed. It wasn't that they couldn't beat Lord Lianwu, but that her identity was too troublesome. They couldn't fight, but they couldn't. Therefore, after a quick discussion, the elders decided not to provoke that fellow. As for those who had been provoked by the Phoenix King, they would let the Phoenix King find a way to settle them. Most of the elders of the Phoenix clan wanted to keep things at peace, so they naturally didn't want to cause trouble for themselves. However, they also knew that it was very difficult for the king and Lord Lianwu to live in peace. However, as the head of the clan, the Phoenix King should have the spirit of sacrifice. When they thought about it this way, the elders of the Phoenix clan calmed down and naturally believed that the king had to take full responsibility for this matter and shoulder the mission of building a good relationship with Lord Lianwu. Of course, the unconscious Phoenix King was still not clear about the thoughts of the elders. Otherwise, she would have fainted again from anger. When an elder of the Phoenix clan passed on Lord Lianwu's words to the elders of the Phoenix clan, they were even more determined to let the Phoenix King come out and settle this matter. However, the Phoenix King was still in a coma, so this matter could only be temporarily postponed. In order to appease Lung Ruox's anger, the elders of the Phoenix clan had already come up with a plan. On the other hand, after Lung Ruoxue left the Phoenix clan's territory with a group of peacocks and Feng Xiu's family, she held a huge banquet. Lung Ruoxue even ordered the Peacock King to invite the magical beasts that she was on good terms with as guests. However, when the Peacock King heard these words, he was in a difficult position. Lung Ruoxue blinked her eyes when she saw the expression on the Peacock King's face. She asked in a speechless manner, "What? Don't tell me you don't have any befriended beasts?" "There's no one," Peacock King said embarrassedly. The competition among the beasts in the Phoenix territory was very fierce. He had always been taken care of by the Phoenix King. Therefore, he had become the target of public criticism. However, God knew that he did not want the Phoenix King to take care of him with ulterior motives, but he did not dare to resist. As time passed, his relationship with the beasts in the Phoenix territory became very delicate. Moreover, due to the coveting of the Phoenix King, he rarely stepped out of the Peacock tribe's territory. Otherwise, just the ambiguous gazes of the Phoenix territory's beasts would be enough to break him down. And he had also become the most otaku beastie in the history of the Phoenix territory. Of course, these were all his sad history. Other than the members of the Peacock clan, he was too embarrassed to share it with others. However, from the Peacock King's ugly expression, it was not hard for Lung Ruoxue to guess that he did not have a good relationship with the beasts. After some thought, Lung Ruoxue said, "Go and invite them. It's good that they're here, it'll save me a lot of trouble. If they're not, I'll have to trouble myself to make a trip here." "Ah." The Peacock King nodded his head in a daze. He could not help but guess in his heart. The master said that he would make a trip personally. Could it be what he was thinking? Thanks. Following that, the dumbfounded Peacock King saw his master hand him a list of names. On it were the names of a few beasts. These beasts were the ones that Lung Ruoxue was planning to recruit. According to Lung Ruox's thoughts, they might as well have a feast at Hongmen. This saved her the trouble of making another trip. She felt that she should be waiting for the Phoenix King to wake up at the Peacock tribe and give her all to make things difficult for the Phoenix King. Therefore, she naturally did not have any extra time to communicate with those beasts. The best way was to gather all the beasts that she wanted to recruit together. It was best for those beasts to be tactful. If they dared to disobey, then don't blame her for using violence. The more Lung Ruoxue thought about it, the more she felt that her idea was good. However, when she saw the evil smile on Lung Ruox's ugly face, Peacock King could not help but break out in cold sweat. He seemed to have already foreseen the fate of the beasts who came. However, now that Lung Ruoxue was his master, he naturally could not help an outsider. Hence, he handed the task to his most capable subordinate without any shame. After that, he arranged for the other clansmen to make all the preparations. Of course, the most important thing was that the defense work had to be done well to prevent those beasts from escaping. The Peacock clan was busy preparing for the upcoming banquet, but the beasts who had received the Peacock King's invitation were confused. Although they lived in the Phoenix territory and were all subsidiary races of the Phoenix tribe, they did not have much interaction with each other. Therefore, the beasts who received the invitation could not understand what was wrong with the Peacock King to actually invite them to the banquet. However, the Peacock tribesman in charge of the invitation had made it clear that he was inviting them to drink the 100-flower wine. Upon hearing this, although the beast clans were puzzled, they still couldn't resist the temptation of the 100-flower wine and agreed to the appointment. When the Peacock King heard the replies of these clans, he felt rather complicated deep down in his heart. This was because he deeply felt that these beastie beasts would not be able to return. With master's means, how could he let these beasts who came to his door go? Although he was the one who invited these beasts, it wasn't up to him to decide if they would come or not. And from the moment these beasties decided to come, their fate had already been decided. Out of sympathy, the Peacock King was generous when he learned that the invited families would come. He ordered his people to bring out the best collection of the Peacock tribe. They would leave the Phoenix territory soon anyway, so this meal was equivalent to a farewell meal. The Beast Clan leaders who had been invited were all secretly shocked when they saw the generous hospitality of the Peacock Clan. A few of them could not help but wonder if the Peacock King had already become a member of the Phoenix King's harem. Otherwise, why would he be willing to take out so many good things to entertain them? Especially when they saw the pots of 100-flower wine on the table, the Beast Clan leaders couldn't help but widen their eyes. It really was the Phoenix Clan's 100-flower wine. And so many jars. Oh my God! What was going on? The Phoenix Clan's 100-flower wine was stored in a jar unique to the Phoenix Clan. They had all been lucky enough to see it before, so they naturally recognized it. When they had been invited, they had heard from the Peacock King's messenger that he would treat them to the 100 Flowers wine. In fact, the leaders of the Beast Clans had been skeptical, but the 100 Flowers wine's temptation was simply too great. Even if they didn't completely believe that the Peacock Clan would be willing to bring out the 100 Flowers wine to treat their guests, they still came with the purpose of finding out what was happening. Chapter 24:13, Banquet at Hongmen, 2. But now, after seeing the jar of 100-flower wine with their own eyes, they had no choice but to believe. Seeing so much 100-flower wine, the tribe leaders knew in their hearts that the Peacock tribe had definitely bled a fortune. As for why, they had no idea. Just as the few Beast Clan leaders were making wild guesses, the Peacock King and Lung Ruoxue walked towards them. They naturally recognized the Peacock King. As for the ugly woman beside him, they had never seen her before. However, they didn't think too much about it, thinking that she was the Peacock King's subordinate or something. After exchanging pleasantries with the other beast patriarchs, the Peacock King invited them to take a seat. At this moment, the elders were surprised to find that the ugly woman was sitting beside the Peacock King. This woman was definitely not his subordinate. The Peacock King glanced at the bewildered expressions of the beast leaders and said with a faint smile, "This is my master." What? The beast patriarchs paled in shock upon hearing this. Did they hear wrong? That ugly woman was actually the Peacock King's master. What was going on? When did this happen? Why didn't they receive any news? I will be your master in the future. At this moment, Lung Ruoxue spoke again. As soon as these words were spoken, the faces of the beast patriarchs instantly darkened. The Peacock King looked at his master helplessly. Was he going to deal with these guys before dinner? Wasn't Master a little too impatient? Faced with the Peacock King's helpless silence, the beast patriarchs understood that this woman wasn't joking. However, wasn't this too much of a bully? They had no intention of finding a master for themselves. At the thought of this, the Eagle tribe leader, who had the worst temper, shouted angrily with a dark expression, "If you want to be our master, we'll have to see if you have the ability." With that, the Eagle race's leader, who had transformed into his human form, immediately returned to his original form. With a heaven-devouring force, he pounced towards Lung Ruoxue's direction furiously. In its true form, the Condor tribe leader was close to 2 meters long. When its 2 huge wings were spread out, it was about 10 meters long. It was also a rare snow condor and had an extremely beautiful appearance. Lung Ruoxue was quite satisfied with this condor at first sight. When she saw the enraged Condor tribe leader pouncing towards her, she did not even try to dodge. Instead, she smiled at the ferocious giant condor. The giant eagle was already very close to him, and seeing this ugly monster looking down on it, it became even more angry. It flapped its huge wings and fiercely swooped down from above. Following that, all the beasts present heard a loud bang. A huge creature flipped a few times and fell out of the main venue of the banquet. Before the beasts could see what was going on, the huge creature crashed into the fence built by the Peacock Clan. A huge net fell from the sky and caught the huge creature. At this moment, the beasties could see clearly that the person caught in the net was the Eagle tribe leader. All the beastie were silent. Everything had happened too quickly, and they did not see clearly how the Eagle tribe leader had flown out, hit the fence, and was caught in the net. However, the Peacock King, who was standing beside Lung Ruoxue, was well aware of everything. Thanks, the one who had sent the Condor tribe leader flying was the little white cat in his master's arms. He looked at the little white cat's small and exquisite claws, then glanced at the Condor tribe leader's huge body. Comparing the size of the two beasts, the Peacock King was about to kneel. Terrifying. It was too terrifying. How could this little kitten be so violent? There was clearly a great disparity in strength. However, that kick had come from the snowy white cat. To be honest, if it was his master who did it, he would feel better, but it wasn't he. How could the pet cat that only knew how to let its owner hug it all day? The Peacock King couldn't think of any words to describe this cat. However, he knew that he must not provoke this seemingly harmless but violent and bloodthirsty cat in the future. So, the Peacock King's little heart was experiencing an unprecedented test at this moment. He even thought to himself that he had never provoked this cat before, right? The Peacock King carefully recalled the past. On the other side, the other beast patriarchs were also shocked speechless. Their positions and angles weren't as good as the Peacock King's, so they couldn't see clearly who had attacked. However, they knew that it wasn't the ugly woman, but someone else. Who was this person? Although the Condor clan's chief's abilities could not be compared to the 4 great king divine beasts, his abilities were still ranked among the beast clans. Now, he had been sent flying without even using a single move. Not only could the Condor clan's chief not accept it, they could not accept it as well. Looking at the petrified and clearly dispirited Eagle Tribe leader, the Eagle Tribe leader endured it for a long time. In the end, he could not hold back the curiosity in his heart and asked, "May I ask, who was the one who attacked the Condor Tribe's chief just now?" "It's me." "What, you want to take revenge for this stupid bird?" Hearing the Eagle Tribe leader's words, Song arrogantly said, "Because the area of Azure was too small, at the start, the Eagle Tribe leader only heard the sound and did not see anyone. Later, after feeling Azure's anger, the Eagle Tribe leader's face was covered in sweat as he realized that the one who spoke was the little kitten in the ugly woman's arms. This fact immediately threw the Eagle Tribe leader into a state of confusion. Never in his dreams would he have thought that this petite and seemingly weak little cat would actually be able to send the powerful Eagle Tribe leader flying with a kick. Was this reasonable? This was absolutely illogical. The Eagle Tribe leader felt that it was very likely that he had been fooled, so his face instantly turned darker than the bottom of a pot. At this time, the other Beast Tribe leaders also came to a realization and looked at Song with constipated expressions. After watching for a long time, they still could not tell that this little kitty had the ability to send the Eagle Tribe leader flying with a kick. The few tribe leaders secretly discussed it and finally decided to send someone out to test the depths of this little kitty. The beasts that were sent out were from the Eagle clan. The Eagle clan was a rather large beast clan with a wide variety of eagles. The eagle that was sent out was the number 1 warrior of the Eagle clan. It came from the Golden Eagle clan and had extraordinary strength. However, when Song saw the Golden Eagle in front of him, he didn't even lift his eyelids and only said indifferently, "You want to fight me one-on-one?" "It is." The Golden Giant Eagle looked at Song, not daring to be careless. Seeing that Song didn't take it seriously, its proud self-esteem couldn't take it anymore. Then, the Golden Eagle roared again, "If I win, you'll have to follow my orders in the future." Chapter 24:14, Banquet at Hongmen, 3. "No problem," he said. "Then what if I beat you? Will your Eagle clan listen to my Nyo from now on?" This, the Golden Eagle stammered. This was not something it could decide. "So you can't make the decision." Song laughed, his face full of disdain. "You can't make the decision," Yitsong said. "Then find someone who can make the decision to fight me one-on-one." Hearing this, the giant Golden Eagle turned to look at the Eagle Tribe leader. The Eagle Tribe leader was a little angry and cursed in his heart. "Why are you looking at me?" To be honest, he only wanted to send someone to test the cat's strength. He didn't want them to use the fate of the Eagle clan as a bargaining chip. But now, it seemed that if he didn't agree, this little kitten wouldn't accept the challenge at all. "I promise you." The Eagle Tribe leader gritted his teeth and pondered for a long while before helplessly replying. He didn't believe that the cat was that strong. That's the way," Song said with satisfaction. Then, the beast saw a white lightning bolt shoot out from Lung Ruox's chest. Then, the beasts heard a scream. When they took a closer look, they saw that the beautiful golden eagle was now covered in wounds and most of its beautiful golden feathers had fallen off. It was a horrible sight. After a pained cry, the proud golden eagle couldn't accept the difference in strength between it and Azure, and fainted from the pain. At the sight of this, the eagle tribe leader's face turned ashen. He didn't even see how the cat had attacked, and the #1 warrior of his tribe had already been seriously injured. Such a difference was too much of a blow to the beast. Then he thought of what he had promised the kitten. Instantly, he shriveled up like a frost-beaten eggplant. Seeing the dejected look on the eagle tribe leader's face, the few beast tribe leaders who were still relatively safe at the moment did not dare to make a sound. One had to know that the eagle tribe leader was the most powerful among the beast tribe leaders. But now he was in such a state. The other beast chieftains were so depressed that they were about to vomit blood. The eagle chieftain had not even made a move, and he had already become someone else's beast. What were they supposed to do then? All of the beast patriarchs were on the verge of tears. They could sense that they wouldn't be able to struggle for much longer. Sure enough, they heard Song say, "Now it's your turn. Do you want me to make a move, or do you want to surrender?" It was their turn so soon. I surrender." A thin-looking young man took the lead to speak. He was the leader of the Goose Clan. The strength of the Goose Clan was incomparable to that of the Eagle Clan and the Condor Clan. Since they could not beat this cat, he deeply felt that there was no need for him to continue resisting. "You're a good child." Azure nodded in satisfaction. The leader of the Wild Goose tribe was not happy at all after being praised, because he had already felt several unfriendly gazes. He knew that because of his good-for-nothing surrender, the other leaders of the beast tribes had some opinions about him. But what could he do? He was a disadvantageous group, Sob. After taking the initiative to surrender, in order to reduce the huge pressure on himself, the Yen clan leader could not help but move closer to Lung Ruoxue so that he would not become the punching bag for the other beasties. When Lung Ruoxue saw this, she could not help but laugh to herself. However, in order to cooperate with Song, Lung Ruoxue deliberately put on a straight face and said, "I'll give you 5 more minutes to think about it. If you still don't give me an answer after 5 minutes, I'll have to use force." "Girl, don't wait for 5 minutes, use force now. I think these guys won't give up until they see the coffin. It's useless to give them 50 minutes and they're even delaying our meal. So, let's not wait any longer." When Song heard Lung Ruoxue's words, he was extremely anxious. If it wasn't afraid that these guys would delay its meal, it wouldn't even bother to attack. Therefore, its only hope now was that these beasts would be tactful and not let it worry too much. Otherwise, it would be angry. After hearing Song and Lung Ruoxue's conversation, the few clan leaders of the beast clans who had yet to express their stance were on the verge of tears. This was definitely forcing them. Why did they have such a hard life? "If I had known, I wouldn't have come for this meal." "Well, even if you didn't come for this meal, we would still find you. So just accept your fate. Don't put up a stubborn resistance, it's useless." After hearing the inner thoughts of the Beast Clan leaders, Azure told them this terrifying truth. When the Beast Clan leaders heard this, their expressions became even uglier. Song could no longer stand Mo Wuxi's attitude, and immediately, a few of the Beast leaders fell to the ground. Including the Eagle Clan leader, the other Beast Clan leaders all had pale faces as they looked at Song in disbelief. This cat had only released a little bit of its aura and it was able to suppress them to the point where they couldn't breathe. What kind of strength was this? Thanks, I'm afraid that even the Phoenix King can't do anything to this cat. After sensing Song's strength, the other beast tribe leaders who had wanted to ask for help from the Phoenix tribe gave up on that thought. They then looked at Song like wives and said with a wronged expression, We are willing to surrender." Sob, "The situation is pressing." Seeing that the matter was settled, Azure smiled in satisfaction. "It would have been better if you had known earlier." None of the beast leaders dared to reply. Then, they heard Song Yu mutter to himself, "Although you've surrendered, you've wasted our precious meal time. So, I'm going to punish you. None of you are allowed to drink today." Hearing this, the leaders of the beast clans became even sadder. Is there any justice in this world? It was already frustrating enough to be forced to surrender. Now, even the right to drink was taken away. It was too cruel. Oh heavens! The earth. This was too beastly. The dejection in the hearts of the beast tribe leaders could not be described with words, and Azure was completely uninterested in what they were thinking. He ordered the peacocks in charge of serving the beast tribe leaders to bring the wine in front of him, and Azure immediately began eating. Following that, Lung Ruoxue also started eating with a smile on her face. When the peacocks saw this, they cheered in unison and started eating without holding back. Seeing the snowy white kitten not far away, holding a bone that was at least twice its size and gnawing on it, the other chiefs of the beast clans who were also gnawing on the bone but didn't know what they were feeling. In short, they were very complicated. Especially when they saw the meat of others accompanied by wine, they were even more depressed. Why was he so aggrieved at this banquet of hongmen? Before the banquet started, there was an additional host, and he didn't even have the right to drink. The Eagle tribe leader had even guessed that this person might not even have prepared a portion for them. Otherwise, why would he take them down before they even started eating? Normally, shouldn't he only attack when they were full and dazed? It had to be said that the Eagle tribe leader was right. Lung Ruoxue really thought that way. Even though it was a treacherous plot, Lung Ruoxue had no intention of treating them to a meal before she settled them, so as not to waste her own food. After all, being thrifty was a virtue. She felt that the number of beasts she had to raise was increasing, so she naturally had to be more careful with her calculations. As for not giving them wine to drink, it had nothing to do with Lung Ruoxue. To put it bluntly, that was entirely Tsong's own decision. Tsong, that stingy fellow, would not bear to feed these idiots good wine. Just like that, Lung Ruoxue led the peacocks to eat and drink to their heart's content. As for the few beast clan leaders who had come for the wine, they could only smell the wine without any complaints. Otherwise, if the little kitty were to go on a rampage, none of them would be able to hold it back. After the feast at Hongmen in their eyes ended, the few beast clan leaders took the initiative to acknowledge their master. Under Lung Ruoxue's arrangement, they returned to their clan to pack their things and also to appease their clansmen who were still unaware of the truth. Lung Ruoxue, on the other hand, continued to stay in the Peacock clan. She also informed the clan leaders that if there were any difficulties that they could not solve, they had to tell her and she would settle it. Hearing this, the hearts of the other beast clan leaders began to tremble. Could they say that they didn't dare to trouble their newly minted master? Now that they knew Lung Ruoxue's identity, it wasn't hard to imagine how violent and bloodthirsty their master would be when he said he would settle her. With a heart full of fear and anxiety, the leaders of the magical beasts fled from the territory of the Peacock clan. They made up their minds that if any of their clansmen dared to oppose the Peacock clan, they would be the ones to suppress them. As he watched the backs of the beast patriarchs leave, the Peacock King couldn't help but tease, "Master is still the best. Look at how they all ran away when they heard that Master was going to make a move. Yes, so be good and don't make me do it." Hearing this, Lung Ruoxue's beautiful eyes narrowed as she smiled faintly. "I've always been a good girl." Hearing this, the Peacock King broke out in a cold sweat. He looked at Lung Ruoxue with a fawning expression. On his beautiful little face, it was written, "Master, please praise me." Lung Ruoxue was speechless when she saw the expression on the Peacock King's face. Songzi glared at the Peacock King fiercely, causing him to shiver in fear. He had actually forgotten about this violent person. This little cat was definitely 10 times scarier than its owner. The Peacock King was extremely conflicted. Just as he was thinking about how to please this little kitten, he suddenly heard the guard's voice. "Master, King. The Phoenix King is awake." Upon hearing this news, Peacock King was excited. He quickly told Lung Ruoxue, "Master, let's go see the Phoenix King." Chapter 24:15, Feng Xiao's Bias Side, 1. Seeing how anxious the Peacock King was, Lung Ruoxue let out a faint smile. She then sized him up and only let him go when she was about to make the Peacock King's hair stand on end. She then said with a look of understanding, "I didn't expect you to care so much about the Phoenix King. It seems that you really can't forget your old feelings for her. Why don't I grant you your wish?" Upon hearing this, the Peacock King almost knelt down. With a long face, he looked at Lung Ruoxue with an aggrieved expression and said pitifully, "Master, you can't wrong me like this." "Oh? How did I wrong you, this person? Weren't you the one who wanted to see the Phoenix King the moment you heard that she had woken up?" Lung Ruoxue pointed out this fact with a calm expression. When the Peacock King heard this, he even wanted to strangle himself. He couldn't help but cry out in his heart that he was wronged. He really didn't rush to see the Phoenix King because he was concerned about her. He mainly wanted to see how his master would bully the Phoenix King. He felt that such a scene was quite lovely. After some thought, the Peacock King spoke with a serious expression, "Master, I have no old feelings for the Phoenix King, you know that. I just wanted to see the Phoenix King make a fool of himself. It's definitely not what you think." The Peacock King felt even more aggrieved as he spoke. In fact, he knew very well that his master was just playing with him. However, he really did not want to be involved with the Phoenix King. Therefore, he must do his best to defend his reputation. He must not be sullied by that female pervert, the Phoenix King. With this thought in mind, the expression on the Peacock King's face became more and more serious. It was as if he would die if Lung Ruoxue accused him wrongly. Seeing him like this, Lung Ruoxue naturally knew that it was time to stop joking. She stopped teasing him and said, "It's only a matter of time before I go to see the Phoenix King. However, the Phoenix clan hasn't sent anyone to inform us that the Phoenix King has woken up. This is enough to show that the Phoenix King can't see anyone now. So, we'd better wait. After all, we have to give the Phoenix clan some face, right?" The Peacock King nodded, but he didn't think so. He didn't believe that his master would give the Phoenix tribe so much face. He probably had other tricks up his sleeve. Thinking of this, he was instantly excited. As the saying goes, a good meal is not afraid of being late. It's fine to find trouble with the Phoenix King a few days later. After the Peacock King had thought it through, he looked at his master with a coquettish expression. However, Lung Ruoxue only said to him, "I'm going to rest." After she finished speaking, she patted her butt and left. Only the dumbfounded Peacock King was left standing there. The Peacock King couldn't understand why his master suddenly wanted to rest. There was no sign of it at all. No one could guess the master's thoughts. The Peacock King sighed and went to rest. At the same time, the Phoenix King, who had just woken up in the Phoenix clan, was also facing the threat of a treacherous plot. However, there was no food or wine to eat in this treacherous plot. Thanks all the elders of the Phoenix clan gathered in the Phoenix King Palace. They had already discussed the countermeasures and results, and all of them were staring at the sick Phoenix King who was half lying on the bed, their faces full of helplessness. After the elder and the Phoenix King stared at each other for a long time, the Phoenix King finally couldn't help but burst out, "How long do you plan to watch me? If you have something to say, say it. Get lost after you're done, I still need to rest." The Phoenix King's tone was extremely unpleasant. When the elders of the Phoenix clan heard this, they were even more dissatisfied with her. At this moment, an elder of the Phoenix tribe, under the encouraging gazes of the other elders, said in a slightly reproachful tone, "Phoenix King, although you are the Phoenix King, we are also the elders of the Phoenix King. How can you speak to us so rudely and impolitely? Damn it! You still know that I'm the Phoenix King? So many of you elders have come to see me, what is the meaning of this?" The Phoenix King was also very dissatisfied. She was not a fool. Looking at the elders' expressions, she knew that these elders had something to tell her. Moreover, it was a very important thing. Otherwise, they would not have come in such a neat manner. Apart from the elders who were not in the clan, almost all the elders were present. The king has just woken up. As a member of the Phoenix clan, isn't it only right for us to come and see the king on behalf of our clansmen? Or is it that the king hopes that we won't come to see you? To tell the truth, there were still many clansmen who wanted to express their concern for the king. However, we were afraid that too many of our clansmen would come and disturb the king's rest, so we stopped them. The elder of the Phoenix clan who had spoken earlier on was not blushing at all. His heart was not beating fast as he explained his reasoning. Furthermore, at first glance, it sounded so reasonable. From this, it could be seen that the elders of the Phoenix clan had their reasons for letting him be the representative. After all, his eloquence was one of the best in the Phoenix clan. Even if he couldn't bring the dead back to life, he wasn't far from it. Sure enough, after hearing this, the Phoenix King was silent for a while. She couldn't refute these words at all. She couldn't be angry just because he was concerned about her. If she offended all the elders, how could she, the Phoenix King, manage the Phoenix clan well in the future? Thinking of this, the expression on the Phoenix King's face immediately eased, and his tone became much more amiable. "Thank you for your concern, elders," the Phoenix King said. After she finished speaking, she suddenly thought of a certain person that she hated so much that she gritted her teeth and asked, "Did that Lien Wu get lost?" "Your Majesty, Lord Lien Wu is the Divine Lord's man. As the saying goes, even if you don't give face to the monk, you should give face to the Buddha. Even if you're talking to God Lord Fogripple, you can't speak to him like this. It's a good thing Lord Lien Wu isn't here right now, or else I'm afraid he'll laugh at our Feng clan for being impolite," the eloquent elder of the Phoenix clan advised. When the Phoenix King heard this, he was so angry that he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. When did that damned Lien Wu manage to bribe the elders of her Phoenix clan? However, without giving the Phoenix King a chance to get angry, the elder continued to speak eloquently. "King, since you've mentioned Lord Lien Wu, then I'll represent the Elder Council and have a good talk with you. We know that King and Lord Lien Wu have some misunderstandings, but it's not easy to make enemies. The other party is also a trusted aide of God Lord Lien Wu. Thus, after some discussion, our Elder Council has decided to be on good terms with Lord Lien Wu. As for the matter of roping in Lord Lien Wu, King will have to personally appear. I hope that your Majesty can put aside your grudges and live in harmony with Lord Lien Wu and the Divine Master's estate for the future of our Phoenix clan. After all, the current Phoenix clan is different from the past, and we can't put on the airs of the past. I hope that your Majesty can understand the elders' efforts and help us rebuild the glory of the Phoenix clan." The more the elder spoke, the more agitated he became. Very quickly, he had infected the emotions of all the elders present. However, the Phoenix King's beautiful face turned darker and darker after hearing what he said. Damn it! What was going on? Why did she not recognize these elders of the Phoenix clan after she had been unconscious for such a short while? Chapter 24:16 Feng Shao's Bias Side 2. The Phoenix King was furious. He looked at the elders with his fiery red eyes, which shot out 2 clusters of raging flames. The flames of anger seemed to want to burn all the elders present into ashes. The elders had already expected the Phoenix King's reaction. Therefore, they were not surprised at all. Instead, they calmly looked at the Phoenix King's beautiful eyes that were spewing fire. There were even elders who couldn't help but think in their hearts, their king. Other than being lecherous, the Phoenix tribe's biggest flaw was their stubbornness. They could tolerate their lecherous nature, but they could not tolerate their stubbornness. Otherwise, the Phoenix tribe would become a second-rate beast tribe sooner or later. That was something they did not want to see. Otherwise, they wouldn't have taken this opportunity to try and correct some of the Phoenix King's bad habits. Perhaps they would have to pay a huge price for this, but they could not allow their king to continue like this. After all, the Phoenix clan now was no longer the powerful Phoenix clan that was filled with talents tens of thousands of years ago. It was imperative for the Phoenix clan to reform. It was with this goal and thought that the elders had already decided that they would not compromise this time. They had to change some of the king's bad habits. After the Phoenix King and the other elders stared at each other for a long time, seeing that these elders had no intention of retreating at all, he began to think in his heart. Something must have happened that she didn't know about. Otherwise, these elders who had always listened to her would never dare to go against her like this. One had to know that there were many of his trusted elders here. Now, they were all going against him. Didn't this mean that things were getting serious? After thinking for a while, the Phoenix King put on an aggrieved expression and said, "I can understand that you want to be on good terms with Lien Wu, but do you know how I was injured?" Hearing this, The elders of the Feng clan looked at each other. Did this mean that Lord Lianwu had something to do with King's injury? However, they were also present at the time. Although they were outside the house, they were very sure that they didn't hear the sound of Lord Lianwu's attack. However, presumably, the king wouldn't lie to them because of such a matter, so they still had this bit of confidence. Seeing the confusion on the elders' faces, and some of them even put on a humble look to ask for advice, the Phoenix King could not help but smile proudly in her heart. Damn Lianwu, you want to fight with her? No way. Then, the Phoenix King continued, it's all because of Lord Lianwu that I was heavily injured. When the Phoenix King said this, she deliberately pretended to be pitiful. As soon as she finished speaking, her confidants and elders immediately showed sympathy. However, those elders did not say anything. Instead, the elder with the excellent eloquence spoke on her behalf. King means that your injury is related to Lord Lianwu? He needed to make sure. Didn't I already tell you? The Phoenix King was a little angry from embarrassment. Was this guy deaf? But we are sure that Lord Lianwu didn't make a move. The elder replied honestly. As soon as he finished speaking, the other elders of the Phoenix clan nodded in agreement. The Phoenix King's face darkened even more. Were these guys really the elders of the Phoenix clan? Aren't they the subordinates of that damned Lianwu? The Phoenix King had lived for so long and had seen many ungrateful people, but she had never seen an elder who would side with outsiders like this. She felt that she was really going to die of anger. Especially when she saw that many elders agreed with her, the anger in her heart could not help but rise to the top of her head. She didn't do anything, but she disturbed this prince's mood. At that time, this prince was at a critical moment and was frightened by her. Naturally, this prince was injured. Do you think this prince's injury has nothing to do with her? After taking a few deep breaths, the Phoenix King spoke without shame. Thanks actually, the Phoenix King's words were definitely a little exaggerated. When she heard the Peacock King complain to Lung Ruoxue, she had already held her breath. However, she was in high spirits at the time and could not refute it. Following that, she heard Lung Ruoxue's curses and saw Lung Ruoxue leading a group of people into her palace hall. In that instant, she was so angry that she could not catch her breath and fainted. As for overindulgence, it was the crime Lung Ruoxue had arranged for her. The elders of the Phoenix clan were not surprised that the Phoenix King, who had a criminal record, had fainted because of this. After all, their king was indeed lustful. However, the Phoenix King didn't think that there was anything wrong with her liking men. Not only was she not ashamed, but she was also proud of it. Moreover, she also really felt that fainting from doing something was better than fainting from anger. As such, the Phoenix King naturally found a good reason to pass out. However, when the elders of the Phoenix clan heard the Phoenix King's shameless words, they blushed in embarrassment and wished they could find a hole to hide in. How could the Phoenix King have the nerve to say this? Some of the elders with high self-esteem were embarrassed and angry, and their faces were red with anger. Many of the elders expressed their helplessness towards the Phoenix King. They had truly experienced the king's thick skin today. No wonder all the little phoenixes now. King, this matter cannot be completely blamed on Lord Lianwu. As the king of the Phoenix clan, Lord Lianwu is also a guest of my clan. How could you only care about your own enjoyment and not properly entertain the guest? Under the expectant gazes of all the elders, the elder who was highly anticipated by the crowd once again opened his mouth to criticize. His words naturally resonated with most of the elders. They looked at the Phoenix King with more and more disapproval. When the Phoenix King saw this, he was truly angry. This damn guy, is he bent on going against me? He clearly knew that he hated Lianwu, yet he still dared to accuse him of not treating his guests well? Why did she have to treat that guy well? She really wanted Lianwu to get lost as soon as possible. Wait a minute. The Phoenix King suddenly had a flash of inspiration and remembered something. Didn't Lianwu go to find the parasol tree? Why did he come back so quickly? Could it be that no sycamore tree was willing to leave with her, so she came back early? Thinking of this possibility, the Phoenix King burst out laughing. Seeing the Phoenix King's anger and laughter, The elders were all speechless. What had triggered the king? Could it be that he was really angered by them? At that moment, the elders of the Phoenix clan heard the Phoenix King ask, "Where's Feng Yun? Get Feng Yun to come see me." Feng Yun was the clansman of the Phoenix clan who had accompanied Lung Ruoxue to look for the parasol tree. He was also one of the trusted aides of the Phoenix clan and was extremely favored and trusted by the Phoenix King. Upon hearing the order from the Phoenix King, the elders looked at each other again. The king was really abnormal. They were talking about Lord Lian Wu. Why did they look for Feng Yun? Chapter 24:17. Feng Xiao's bias side. 3. The elders, who didn't know what was going on, gave their representatives a look, and the eloquent elder of the Phoenix clan quickly reminded, "King, Feng Yun isn't here, so let's first discuss the matter between you and Lord Lianwu. You can summon Feng Yun later." "No. I want to see Feng Yun now. I don't have anything to discuss with that Lianwu," the Phoenix King said willfully. "My king." A certain elder looked at the Phoenix King with a slight headache. At this moment, Feng Yun, who the Phoenix King wanted to see, was brought over by the guards. The moment Feng Yun saw the Phoenix King, she immediately wailed and cried, "My king!" The Wutong tree was taken away by Lord Lianwu. "What did you just say?" Hearing this, the Phoenix King stood up immediately. The expressions of all the elders of the Phoenix clan changed drastically as they looked at Feng Yun nervously. In fact, Feng Yun had just woken up from his coma. Just as he was about to report this matter to the Phoenix King, he coincidentally received a guard's notice that the Phoenix King wanted to see him. The moment he heard it, he couldn't wait any longer and came to the Phoenix King palace. "The sycamore tree is gone," Feng Yun repeated when he saw the shock and disbelief on the faces of the Phoenix King and the elders. Following that, Feng Yun explained everything that happened in the parasol tree forest to the Phoenix King and the elders. After the Phoenix King and the elders heard it, they were all as anxious as ants on a hot pan. The furious Phoenix King could not help but vent all her anger on the elder who had been speaking up for Lian Wu. She said fiercely, "What else do you have to say now? Do you still want our Phoenix clan to be on good terms with that damned Lian Wu?" The Phoenix King was furious, and the consequences would be severe. Originally, she just wanted to ask Feng Yun and Lian Wu about the situation in the parasol tree forest. She didn't expect to hear that all her parasol trees had disappeared. This time, the hatred in her heart for Lian Wu rose a few steps. However, after the elder of the Phoenix tribe who had been scolded heard that the parasol tree had disappeared, he calmed down. He glanced at the Phoenix King and asked, "According to what this subordinate knows, it was King who personally agreed for Lord Lianwu to go to the parasol tree forest. King even swore that if Lord Lianwu could move the entire parasol tree forest away, King would not have any objections. Now that Lord Lianwu really did that, why is King regretting it? If you want this subordinate to say a few words of justice, Lord Lianwu is not in the wrong. After all, Wang Yin was the one who started it." After listening to the elder's words, the Phoenix King was so angry that her whole body trembled. She pointed her white jade-like finger at the elder, unable to say a complete sentence. This time she was really angry. This damn guy, he clearly wants to go against me. To side with an outsider like this, could it be that he had already been bribed by that hateful Lianwu? As soon as the seed of doubt was planted in the Phoenix King's heart, she instantly lost her good face towards this elder who only knew how to go against her. She also felt that this elder was extremely unpleasant to the eye. Moreover, the more she looked at this elder, the more suspicious she became. In the end, she was even certain that this guy had definitely been bribed by Lianwu. However, before the Phoenix King could voice out her thoughts, an elder agreed and said, "Elder Xiao's words are very reasonable. This matter was indeed started by Wang Yin. It was the king who was too careless." Upon hearing this, the Phoenix King felt a mouthful of blood surging up her throat. Her mouth was instantly filled with the taste of blood. She suppressed her anger and swallowed the mouthful of blood. Her already unhealthy face turned white and black, black and white. However, at this moment, no elder cared about the king's expression. Instead, he suggested in all seriousness, If even Lady Wu really took away our parasol trees, we have to be on good terms with her. You must know that not everyone can take away those parasol trees, unless they are willing. Yup. I didn't expect Lord Lianwu to have such ability to make those parasol trees listen to her. If we get along well with her, Lord Lianwu will be happy and might even return those parasol trees to us. After all, she's not from the Phoenix clan. Those parasol trees are useless to her, aren't they? The more the elder spoke, the more excited he became. The anxiety, shock, and disbelief on his face had all turned into joy. When he said this, many elders also deeply agreed, feeling that it was exactly that logic. Hearing the discussions of the elders, Feng Yun, who originally came to complain, was instantly dumbfounded. How did this happen? This shouldn't be the case. After knowing that the Wutong tree had been stolen, shouldn't these elders be so angry that they would gather their clansmen to snatch the Wutong tree back? What was the situation now? Thanks, Feng Yun was at a loss. The Phoenix King was so angry that he was speechless. At this moment, the eloquent elder Shao smiled and said, "All the elders have a point. To us, befriending Lord Lianwu is absolutely of utmost importance. However, the king doesn't seem to agree with this." As he spoke, Elder Shao changed the topic to the furious Phoenix King. "Your Majesty, don't be angry anymore. It was indeed your fault for not being careful with your words, which caused our Phoenix tribe to lose our parasol tree. Therefore, you must make up for your mistake. Otherwise, you will be a sinner of our Phoenix tribe." As soon as Elder Shao's words fell, there were immediately elders who criticized the Phoenix King with righteous words. Naturally, these words were highly praised by the other elders. The Phoenix King's brain was buzzing from all the noise. Although she endured it, in the end she couldn't take it anymore and shouted angrily, "All of you shut up. I know what to do, I don't need you to teach me." The Phoenix King's anger could not be described with words. Especially when she saw Elder Shao looking at her with a smile and anticipation, the anger in her heart deepened. Now, even if she insisted that Feng Shao had been bribed by Lian Wu, the elders would not believe her. It was really too detestable. Knowing the anger and dissatisfaction of the Phoenix King, Feng Shao said without fear of death, "Then when will the Phoenix King meet Lord Lianwu? This matter should not be delayed. Otherwise, if Lord Lianwu leaves, I'm afraid that your highness can only go to the imperial city to find her, and you may not be able to find her at that time." "Why can't I find her?" Hearing the last few words, the Phoenix King suppressed his anger and asked, "Wang, have you forgotten? That Lord Lianwu is the advisor of God Lord Fogripple, and one of the more secretive ones at that. We rarely hear of her name, so it can be seen just how well God Lord Fogripple has hidden her. Did the king think that he would be able to find out anything about an advisor who usually did not see the light of day? Or are you planning to personally ask God Lord Fogripple? I don't believe that God Lord Fogripple would be happy to tell you." Feng Shao's words were sincere and earnest as he explained patiently. When the Phoenix King heard this, it seemed to make sense. However, she did not know why, but she was extremely unhappy. At this moment, she glanced at Feng Yun, who had a deathly pale expression, and asked with uncertainty, "Have all the parasol trees in our parasol tree forest really disappeared?" This subordinate only heard many sycamore trees say that they would leave with Lord Lianwu. Then this subordinate fainted. This subordinate does not know what happened after that. By the time this subordinate woke up, he was already back at his own residence. Feng Yun didn't dare to hide anything and spoke the truth. "So you didn't see the parasol trees leave with Lord Lianwu?" After hearing this, Feng Shao quickly asked. "No, I fainted," Feng Yun said with some embarrassment. At this moment he felt a few dissatisfied gazes and immediately felt guilty. "Your Majesty, since Feng Yun is unable to confirm this matter, why don't you send someone you trust to the parasol tree forest to confirm it?" Feng Shao suggested. "Well, Feng Yuan, take some people with you to take a look." The Phoenix King nodded and then instructed an elder present. After receiving the order, the elder immediately led the guards to the parasol tree forest. Not long after, they returned and reported truthfully, "Your Majesty, those parasol trees are still here." Still here? Fengyun, what do you say? The Phoenix King narrowed his eyes. He was obviously a little unhappy. Your Majesty, it must be because Lord Lianwu couldn't take away so many parasol trees at once, so he left them behind. I think she will definitely come back to take them away. I think we should think of a countermeasure as soon as possible. We can't let Lord Lianwu take away all the parasol trees. Feng Yun's forehead was covered in sweat as he thought about what to say. What do you all think of Feng Yun's idea? After hearing Feng Yun's words, the Phoenix King turned to look at the other elders and asked, Your Majesty, this is inappropriate. Feng Shao said sternly. Then he began to reason, King, you've already made an oath. If Lord Lianwu can take away those parasol trees, you can't stop him. Otherwise, the laws of the world will definitely punish you. Once this matter is spread out, our Phoenix clan will probably become people who go back on their words. The reputation of our Phoenix clan cannot be ruined by breaking our promise. Then what do you suggest we do? When the Phoenix King heard Feng Shao's words, he roared again in anger. She really wanted to scold him. You ungrateful wretch, what benefits did Lianwu give you to make you speak up for that ugly woman? In fact, there was a sentence in her heart that she had never had the chance to say. That was, I can't stop you, but can't you? But at this time, the Phoenix King believed that as long as she revealed this thought, she would be despised by the elders who valued the reputation of the Phoenix clan, especially that Feng Shao who sided with outsiders. Who knew what kind of great reason he would come up with? With this thought in mind, she could only give up on this idea. Chapter 24:18. The Consequences of Getting Lost, 1. In this subordinate's opinion, if Lord Lianwu really comes back to take those parasol trees, we will naturally let him go. Feng Shao said matter-of-factly, and after that, he deliberately paused and looked up at the dark face of the Phoenix King. When the Phoenix King heard this, he was furious. She knew that this damned Feng Shao would say this. At this moment, she felt even more that Feng Shao had been bribed by that hateful Lianwu. Otherwise, why would he always favor an outsider? Look, where did they all go? The divine realm was almost unable to contain him, right? However, despite being angry, the Phoenix King miraculously did not roar out immediately this time. She wanted to see what kind of reaction the elders of her family would have after hearing Feng Shao's words. Just as the Phoenix King had expected, after Feng Shao's words came to a temporary end, Feng Yun, who was in charge of bringing Lung Ruoxue to the parasol tree forest, immediately shouted with a face full of disbelief, Elder Feng Shao, how could you suggest this? If Lord Lianwu takes away all the parasol trees, how do you want our Phoenix clan to live? At this moment, other than Feng Yun, no other elder said anything. Feng Yun did not want to say these words, but he knew the king's personality well and was afraid that the Phoenix King would blame him. Thus, he could only stand out. However, after he bravely said these words, he saw the satisfied expression on the Phoenix King's face from the corner of his eye. Instantly, he relaxed and felt that he had made the right choice. After Feng Shao heard Feng Yun's words, he did not reveal a guilty or flustered expression as the Phoenix King had hoped. Instead, he smiled faintly and said, I haven't finished yet. Why are you in such a hurry? Ah. Feng Yun was a little dumbfounded. Was this considered to have resolved his question? Wasn't this a little too easy? What I mean is, for the sake of our Phoenix clan's reputation, we can't stop Lord Lianwu from taking away those parasol trees. This is all for the sake of our Phoenix clan's credibility. However, we can be on good terms with Lord Lianwu. As long as we can make Lord Lianwu happy, Lord Lianwu should return the parasol trees to us. After all, she doesn't have much use for those parasol trees, right? Looking at the elders present with a smile, Feng Shao repeated the words of an elder with a smile. His words also received the approval of most of the elders. For a moment, almost all the elders had their eyes on the Phoenix King. Because the elders of the Phoenix tribe were not stupid. The key to being on good terms with Lord Lianwu was their queen. When the Phoenix King heard that the topic had changed back to him, he was furious. Were these elders determined to force her to lower her head to Lianwu? She didn't even take fog seriously. If he wanted her to lower her head to Lianwu, wasn't that asking for her life? The Phoenix King was extremely unwilling, but when he saw the determined looks on the elders' faces, the Phoenix King couldn't help but feel a little irritated. She couldn't understand what was going on with these elders. Why did he change into a completely different person in such a short time? She couldn't even recognize him. In the past, even if the Elder Council didn't listen to her, they rarely opposed her orders, let alone forcing her to be on good terms with the woman she hated. In the past, this was something that would have been impossible. But now? What was with the elders' unyielding expression now? When the Phoenix King saw how unyielding the elders of the Phoenix clan were, he was so mad that he wanted to bite them. Thanks, damn it. The main culprit of all this was Feng Shao. The Phoenix King was filled with hatred. The gazes that were directed at Feng Shao became even more unfriendly. However, Feng Shao acted as if he did not see it and calmly allowed the Phoenix King to look at him. Seeing Feng Shao's attitude of a dead pig not afraid of boiling water, the Phoenix King was completely speechless, and at the same time, he also wilted. Let me consider this matter, the Phoenix King said with an irritated face. In her heart, she was thinking of dragging it out as long as possible. She really didn't want to deal with that Lian Wu. How long does your Majesty plan to consider? Feng Shao, who had seen through the Feng King's thoughts, asked without letting go. You, the Phoenix King was furious. This Feng Shao is doing this on purpose, right? Your Majesty, this matter is easier said than done. Lord Lianwu is still waiting for you at the Peacock clan. If she knows that you've woken up and we haven't sent anyone to inform her, perhaps Lord Lianwu will come to see you in anger. At that time, our Phoenix clan will be in a passive position. Therefore, for the sake of the Phoenix clan, please make your decision as soon as possible. Ignoring the anger of the Phoenix King, Feng Shao continued to remind him. At this time, other elders echoed, Your Majesty, Elder Feng Shao's words are reasonable. I ask Your Majesty to quickly decide how to befriend Lord Lianwu. Wasn't there a human saying, the King of Hell is easy to see, but the little devil is hard to deal with? Although Lord Lianwu was only an assistant to God Lord Rhyme, she was even more of an enemy that could not be offended. Otherwise, as long as she gave us some face in front of God Lord Rhyme, and made things difficult for us, our Phoenix clan would suffer. I hope that Your Majesty can put aside your personal grudges for the sake of the Feng clan, and the entire Feng clan will be grateful to you. These words were once again approved by many of the elders. The Phoenix King's face was also so angry that it was impossible to tell what color it was. You guys have to give me a few days to think about it. The Phoenix King roared in anger as he listened to the long speech. All right then. However, we can only give you 3 days to consider. I hope you can give us a satisfactory answer after 3 days. Feng Shao knew very well that he could not force the king too much. After a little thought, he represented that the elders had agreed to the conditions of the Feng King. Seeing that the matter had been settled for the time being, the Phoenix King looked at the elder in front of her and was extremely displeased. She waved her hand and said as if she was shooing away a fly, Get lost. All of you, get out. I don't want to see you right now. Your Majesty, we are the elders of the Phoenix clan. Please respect us. You can ask us to leave, but you can't use the word, get lost, on us. This is a form of disrespect to us. As soon as the Phoenix King's words fell, Feng Shao began to criticize him with a righteous look on his face. When the other elders heard this, they first looked at Feng Shao in a daze, and then suddenly reacted. That's right. Feng Shao was right. They were the elders of the Phoenix clan. Although their status was not as noble as the Phoenix King, their dignity could not be trampled on by anyone, not even the Phoenix King. With this thought, all the elders were instantly enraged. Of course, these words were also reminded by Feng Shao. Otherwise, they would not have realized what was wrong with the Phoenix King telling them to get lost. Because in the past, when the Phoenix King was angry, she often used this word on them. However, at that time, they didn't feel anything wrong. But now with Feng Shao's reminder, all the elders instantly came to a realization. The Phoenix King was indeed too disrespectful to them. They were the elders of the Phoenix clan. An elder who had been taking care of the affairs of the Phoenix clan every day, even if he didn't have any merits, he should have worked hard, right? However, not only did the Phoenix King not say a single heartwarming word to them, but he also asked them to get lost. Chapter 24:19. The Consequences of Getting Lost. 2. This was really bullying. The more the elders thought about it, the angrier they became. Gradually, the way they looked at the Phoenix King became more and more unfriendly. Seeing this, the Phoenix King was at a loss for a moment. So what if these elders were planning to rebel? With this thought in mind, the Phoenix King's anger surged up in his heart and he roared out in anger, "What are you guys doing? Do you want to rebel? What's wrong with telling you to get lost? You're just my dogs. If I tell you to get out, you'll have to get out obediently. Now, get out, I don't want to see you." As soon as these words came out, the Phoenix King still didn't realize how serious his words were, but all the elders were dumbfounded and petrified. Was this the king's true thoughts? They were just the king's dogs, so whatever the king asked them to do, they had to do it without any resistance, right? The elders were furious. The sixth elder, who had a rather high status among the elders, glanced at the Phoenix King and said indifferently, "Please speak, Wang Shen. Be careful, my ass. Don't you forget your status. You actually dare to force me to do something I don't like. You guys are really bold. Just you wait, I won't let you off when I'm better." When the Phoenix King heard this, he roared in anger. When the sixth elder heard this, he sighed helplessly. Then he glanced at the Phoenix King with a sympathetic look and said, "King, you must apologize to us elders for your words and report your mistake to the entire clan. Otherwise, we will go on strike." "Right. If the king doesn't apologize to us, we'll go on strike." The sixth elder's words were echoed by the other elders. This time, they were really disappointed. In the past, no one had pointed out the inappropriateness of the king's words. Perhaps no one had thought that it was a big deal for the king to treat them like this. But now, after being pointed out by Elder Feng Xiao, they could not accept it in their hearts. This was like a guy who had been deceiving himself and others all this time. One day, he would no longer be able to deceive himself. Then, the deception that he had suffered in the past would naturally be magnified infinitely. And at this moment, it was precisely such a situation. The crime of the Phoenix King was somewhat unforgivable. However, the Phoenix King obviously didn't believe that these elders would really go on strike. So, he said disapprovingly, "Strike? Are you threatening me? I don't buy that. If you want to go on strike, go ahead. Do I care?" Seeing how nonchalant the Phoenix King was and how he was speaking nonchalantly, the hearts of the elders turned cold. They were even more disappointed in the Phoenix King's words and actions. After exchanging a glance with each other, the elders left the Phoenix King's bedchamber together without looking back. Before he left, Feng Xiao still kindly reminded him, "King, don't blame me for not warning you. It's better to quickly decide how to get on good terms with Lord Lianwu. Otherwise, when they come to you personally, you'll be in a very passive position." Feng Xiao didn't have the mood to tell the Phoenix King that even Lord Wu wanted to settle the score with her. It was precisely because no one had told the Phoenix Prince that the completely clueless Phoenix Prince only realized that she had a huge problem waiting for her when Lung Ruoxue came looking for her. But at this time, the Phoenix King didn't care about Feng Xiao's words at all. He only felt that these words made her upset. He glared at Feng Xiao and shouted, "Get lost. Don't let me see you again." "Thanks, don't worry, Your Majesty. Feng Xiao will get lost far away so that the king can't find me." Feng Xiao smiled indifferently and then left King Feng's chamber calmly. Without the disturbance of the unsightly elders, the Phoenix King began to recuperate in peace and ordered the guards not to disturb him for anything. Just like that, the Phoenix King had missed out on many things. By the time she reacted and wanted to make up for it, it was already too late. As for the elders who had left in anger, they immediately called for an emergency elder meeting when they got back. In the end, they decided to go on strike from now on. This time, they were definitely not joking. He was determined to carry out the strike to the end. The elders, who were usually favored by the Phoenix King, did not have any intention to speak up for the Phoenix King at this moment. They were also extremely angry. After the emergency elder council had ended, many elders had decided to leave the Feng clan for a while to take a walk and relax. The elders who planned to stay in the clan decided to go into seclusion, in case the Phoenix King made him a coolie. The Phoenix clan was a rather proud beast clan. Even if the Phoenix King was their king, they were not so cheap as to be treated like dogs by her. After deciding on where to go, the elders of the Feng clan decided to gather again for the last time. After all, it would be difficult for them to be as united as they were now. After the meal, Feng Shao went to see the sixth elder. The sixth elder was the only one who had no intention of leaving the Feng clan, nor did he have any intention of going into seclusion. After a secret discussion between the two, Feng Shao left the Feng clan the next day. The sixth elder, who stayed behind, was no longer in charge of the affairs of the Phoenix clan. His only job every day was to visit the two severely injured clansmen. They were the two patriarchs of the Phoenix clan that Leng Ruoxue had sent back as spies. At this time, their injuries had almost recovered, but their memories were still intermittent. It was because of this that the two old phoenixes became patients with peace of mind and did not ask about the affairs of the Phoenix clan. The two of them were brothers in the same boat. After the previous battle and the experience of becoming Leng Ruoxue's beast together, their relationship had improved by leaps and bounds. The sixth elder, who was usually close to them, was also happy to see this. The sixth elder had always felt that these two guys were usually too isolated and didn't have any life and death friendship. Now that the sparks of friendship had been ignited in a battle, the two of them would have a place to talk in the Feng clan in the future. With this thought in mind, the sixth elder even arranged for the two to recuperate in the same residence, which was more convenient for her to visit. When he visited the two powerful patients, the sixth elder naturally told them about the current situation of the Feng clan. After hearing it, the two of them were dumbfounded and their eyes widened. Was the heavens helping him? They hadn't even done anything yet. The Phoenix clan had been torn apart? This seemed to be the work of the Phoenix King. When the two of them first heard this news, it really took them a long time to digest it before they came back to their senses. Seeing this, the sixth elder could understand their feelings and consoled them. You don't have to worry too much. Our only purpose is to make the Phoenix King yield. We won't really leave the Phoenix clan to die. That's good. The two of them looked at each other and said in unison. However, they both thought in their hearts that they were not worried at all. They were all Leng Ruoxue's people. The more chaotic the Phoenix clan was, the better it would be for them. AI. After appeasing the two patients, the sixth elder sighed again. Chapter 24:20. The Consequences of Getting Lost. 3. Seeing this, one of the elders of the Phoenix clan couldn't help but ask, Xiao Lu, why are you sighing? Hearing the two words little sixth elder was deeply conflicted. The three of them were clearly of the same generation, but these two guys always called her Little Six because they were older. When she heard these two words, she felt very helpless. Please don't call me Little Six, okay? The sixth elder requested after another sigh. Then you're called Lulu? But I still feel that Little Six is more amiable. An old phoenix said with a smirk. Forget it, you'll just be called Little Six. The sixth elder was helpless. Then, after thinking for a while, she said, Feng Shao. He has already left the Feng clan. What? Hearing this, one of the old phoenixes immediately jumped up in shock and spoke with some anger. He has left the Phoenix clan to train. The sixth elder said honestly. In fact, she had hesitated for a long time and finally decided to tell someone this news, in case someone heard about this from other clansmen and blamed her for hiding it. Damn it! Who told him to leave the Feng clan? A certain old ancestor of the Phoenix race roared out in anger. That bastard! He didn't care about his father who was severely injured and went out to train at this time? What was he trying to do? Was he rebelling? The Feng clan is in troubled times right now. It's a good thing for Feng Shao to go out and gain experience. Besides, he's already an adult and an elder of the Phoenix clan. You don't think that any human would dare to bully him, do you? Seeing a certain someone's extreme reaction, the sixth elder couldn't help but advise. She had promised Feng Xiao that she wouldn't tell anyone about his departure from the Feng clan, but now she had broken her promise. Therefore, she really felt that she had the obligation to appease this furious fellow in front of her. Old Fire, I think what little Six said makes sense. That little guy Feng Xiao has already left. Do you still want to go and catch him back? The other Phoenix ancestor, who was calm and composed, gave the furious old Phoenix a knowing look. The old Phoenix, who was called Old Hua, calmed down instantly. In fact, the reason why Old Fire was so anxious was that he was afraid that his rash descendant would go to find his master. If that kid did something to annoy his master, he simply didn't dare to imagine what kind of consequences Feng Xiao would have. He was afraid that Song, who was next to his master, would not let Feng Xiao off. Old Fire's heart was filled with regret. If it wasn't for the time when he was chatting with Feng Miao, the other ancestor of the Feng clan, and accidentally mentioned his master, which was heard by Feng Xiao, he was afraid that Feng Xiao would not have such a big opinion of his master. He even said arrogantly that he would meet Leng Ruoxue when he had the chance. He knew very well what his son meant. However, it was also because of their conversation that Feng Xiao inadvertently found out the truth of their mission. He found out about him and Feng Miao's undercover mission and their thoughts. Every time the two of them saw Feng Xiao, they spared no effort in instilling him with the story of the previous Prince Feng. Although Feng Xiao didn't have much of a reaction at that time, the two of them knew very well that Feng Xiao had long accumulated dissatisfaction with the current Prince Feng. Feng Xiao had also blamed Feng Tong for the two of them being captured. This was also the main reason why Feng Xiao had tried so hard to help an outsider. Feng Xiao wanted to take revenge for his father. Therefore, even though he clearly knew how much the Phoenix King hated Lien Wu, he still praised Lien Wu in front of the elders and told them not to offend Lien Wu. With his eloquence, his words naturally won the hearts of the elders and inadvertently helped Leng Ruoxue a lot. However, Feng Xiao was not clear about Lien Wu's true identity, so he spared no effort to speak up for her. Otherwise, once he knew that Lien Wu was Leng Ruoxue, it was hard to say whether he would help. Who asked him to hold a grudge against Leng Ruoxue? And now, Feng Xiao had secretly left the Feng clan, and it was very likely that he would find trouble with his own master. Thinking of this, Old Fire was anxious, but under the comfort of Feng Miao's eyes, Old Fire temporarily suppressed it and tried to hide the anxiety in his heart. After casually chatting with the sixth elder for a while, Old Fire deliberately showed a tired state. The sixth elder saw this, so he tactfully chose to leave. As soon as the sixth elder left, Old Fire immediately grabbed Feng Miao's sleeve and sent a voice transmission with a worried face. What should we do? What should he do? If that stinky brat were to provoke Master, would he be able to come back alive? Who do you think you are? Master would not kill innocent people. Don't worry. Although Feng Miao was comforting him like this, to be honest, he didn't have much confidence. Because he knew that Master might not kill the Feng clan for the sake of Feng Zhan and the other ancestors, but that terrifying Song by Master's side might not let go of the fellow who provoked Master. Therefore, if Feng Xiao really found his master, it was very likely that he would be in deep trouble. However, he didn't dare to say these words at this time. Otherwise, it would be strange if Old Fire didn't go crazy. Just like now, when the two of them chatted, they could only use voice transmission to avoid others from discovering their identities as spies. It was not the right time to expose themselves. Thanks all of a sudden, Feng Miao had a flash of inspiration, and she transmitted her voice to Old Hua with a happy expression. Old friend, why don't you contact Master and tell her about the Feng clan, and also about Feng Xiao? Will this work? Old Fire was a little afraid that his master would be angry, because the two of them had not made any progress in their undercover work, but they had exposed their own identity first. Although it was his own descendant who knew his identity, after all, he had not been able to convince that kid to join his master. Therefore, he felt that he was too ashamed to see his master. So, he was so conflicted and in a difficult position. Let's try. We can't hide this matter. Otherwise, if your Feng Shao really comes to find Master and Master doesn't know anything about it and isn't prepared at all, then Feng Wan only said half of her sentence before she deliberately stopped and let Old Fire think about it. Old Fire quickly thought about it. Finally, he slapped his thigh and made up his mind, I'm going all out. I should tell Master. When he finished his sentence, he did not have any confidence at all. He looked at Feng Miao pitifully, and Feng Miao gave Old Fire an encouraging look. Just like that, Old Fire's little heart trembled as he took the initiative to contact Leng Ruoxue. At this moment, Leng Ruoxue, who was enjoying herself in the Peacock tribe, was surprised to receive a message from an undercover old phoenix. Then she saw Tsang smirk and guessed that something must have happened in the phoenix tribe that she didn't know about. However, the evil Tsang didn't tell her. After connecting to the old phoenix's voice transmission, Leng Ruoxue patiently listened to the old phoenix's report. Finally, Old Fire stammered for a long time before he finally mustered his courage and said to his master, Master, our identities have been exposed. The moment she heard the word exposed, Leng Ruoxue could not help but worry for the two old phoenixes. She could not help but ask, Then how does the Phoenix King plan to deal with you? I'm currently in the Phoenix territory. Don't worry, he'll find a way to save you. At this moment, Leng Ruoxue had already forgotten about the old phoenix's previous report. In her heart, only the old phoenix had exposed this fact. On the other hand, when Old Flame heard this, he knew that his master had misunderstood. However, he was still touched by his master's care and love. When their master heard that their identities had been exposed, not only did he not blame them, but he also wanted to save them. What a good master! Old Fire was moved to tears. When Feng Miao, who was beside him, saw this, she thought that Old Fire had been blamed by its master and was extremely anxious. After slightly calming down his excited mood, Old Fire was touched and explained to his master the reason for his exposure. He emphasized that Feng Shao may go to find his master and hoped that his master would be magnanimous and not hold it against him. After Leng Ruoxue understood everything, she felt a little embarrassed. So, she had misunderstood. However, even if the Phoenix King were to find out the identity of the two old phoenixes, she would definitely think of a way to save them. Only she could bully her beastie. If others wanted to bully him, there was no way. After figuring out the truth of the matter, Leng Ruoxue readily agreed to Old Fire's request. If Feng Shao really delivered himself to her door, she promised that she would not make things difficult for that phoenix. When Old Fire heard this, he immediately felt relieved. Suddenly, Old Fire came to a realization and said with disbelief, Master, you just said that you were in the Phoenix territory. Did I hear you wrong? You didn't hear wrong. I'm in the Phoenix territory now, but I'm using someone else's identity. Leng Ruoxue laughed. Someone else's identity? Old Fire pondered hard after hearing that. If his master really came to the Phoenix territory, it would certainly cause a big commotion. Therefore, he combined the things that the sixth elder had told them in his heart and guessed which one was his master. After a moment of silence, Old Fire suddenly roared in shock. Master, I heard that a human called Lian Wu has recently come to the clan, and he's the advisor of Fog Ice. Is that you? It's me, your master. However, you must keep this a secret. When Leng Ruoxue heard Old Fire's surprised voice, her mood suddenly turned for the better. Don't worry, master. I won't tell anyone. Old Fire promised. The admiration in his heart for his master was like a surging river, endless. Because he had heard a lot about Lord Lian Wu from the sixth elder and also from the grapevine. At that time, he worshipped the person who could cause trouble for the Phoenix King. Now that he heard that that person was his master, the worship in his heart could not be suppressed no matter what. Old Fire was excited again. Chapter 24-21 Nouveau Riche Leng Ruoxue 1. As expected of my master. No matter where they went, it would not be peaceful. Old Fire couldn't help but think. Of course, his words were not meant to mock Leng Ruoxue, but to express his envy, admiration, and adoration. One had to know that other people didn't have the ability to be like master. Only his master could turn the place upside down and make it a horrible sight. How capable was this? Old Fire's respect for its master rose to an unprecedented level. However, it was fortunate that Leng Ruoxue had yet to find out Old Fire's thoughts. Otherwise, she would have been extremely depressed. Because no matter how she listened to Old Fire's praise, she felt that something was wrong. At this moment, Feng Miao, who was waiting for the news at the side, saw her old buddy crying, laughing, and standing there in a daze. She was extremely anxious. How much stimulation did he have to go through to make this old friend of his like this? Feng Miao looked worriedly at her fellow brother who was in trouble, thinking that she must comfort him later. Sighed. Master must be blaming him. Feng Miao kept sighing at the side, while Old Fire's excitement could not be described with words. After chatting with Leng Ruoxue for a long time, Old Fire finally ended the conversation with Leng Ruoxue reluctantly. This was a decision that Old Fire had made with great difficulty after Leng Ruoxue had become a little impatient. Otherwise, he would have continued the conversation. After Old Hua ended the voice transmission, he was still a little dazed and touched his moist eyes from time to time. Feng Yuan saw this and sighed. Old Fire, don't be too sad. Master is definitely just angry for a moment. He won't really blame you. Feng Miao did not know how to comfort Old Fire and was not sure if his master was really angry, so he could only guess and comfort him based on his own judgment. However, Old Fire was confused when he heard what he said. Who said that the master is blaming me? Old Hua blinked his eyes in a daze and said with a blank expression, Master didn't blame you? When Feng Miao heard this, she was also stunned for a moment. No, I didn't. Master also said that if she really saw Feng Xiao, she would not make things difficult for him. Old Fire said honestly. As he spoke, he became excited again, and his face instantly turned red. Why are you crying? Hearing Old Fire's words, Feng Miao asked speechlessly. So she had misunderstood. However, he couldn't be blamed for this. It was this old thing who made him misunderstand. I'm touched and excited. Master is so concerned about us. Old Fire was so excited that he was almost out of breath. After he suppressed his excitement and reported the matter to Feng Miao was instantly excited as well. You said that Master is in the Phoenix territory? Feng Miao asked in disbelief. Didn't I already tell you? This matter must be kept a secret. When Master comes to the Phoenix clan, we have to pretend that we don't know Master. Old Fire could not help but remind him. You don't have to tell me that, I know what to do. However, don't you think we should go and see Master? It's been a long time since I've seen Master, and I've been having weird thoughts. Feng Miao suggested with some uncertainty. Let's just sneak a look at Master. Otherwise, I'm afraid that I won't be able to control myself when I see Master in public and he'll be exposed. After thinking for a while, Old Fire said, Thanks, all right. Feng Miao also nodded in agreement. Then, the two old phoenixes waited for Leng Ruoxue in the clan with a heart full of excitement. Who knew that even after waiting for several days, they still didn't hear Lord Lianwu coming. Just as the two old phoenixes were waiting anxiously, the two with sharp ears suddenly heard a clansman wildly shouting, Lord Lianwu is here. Everyone be on guard. When the two of them heard this cry, they looked at each other speechlessly. They thought to themselves, it seems that Master has brought quite a bit of excitement to their own clansmen. However, as a member of the Phoenix clan, he had to do something for the clan. With that thought in mind, the two of them revealed a tacit smile and were about to walk out when they were stopped at the gate by the sixth elder. The sixth elder looked at the two restless phoenixes with an unfriendly expression and said in an unpleasant tone, Where do you guys want to go? Hee. Little Six, we heard that the legendary Lord Lianwu is here, so we want to go and take a look. Old Fire and Feng Miao looked at each other and said in unison, Don't go. Stay here obediently. You're still patience. The sixth elder didn't even think about it and stopped the two old phoenixes who wanted to watch the fun from going out to join in the fun. When the two old phoenixes heard this, they immediately cried and drooped their heads. So, Little Six was really too dictatorial. It was not easy for their master to come here. They really wanted to sneak a peek. Even just a glance would do. However, little Six didn't allow them to go out. What the hell is this? However, the two of them couldn't openly say that she was their master and that they had to see her since she was here at the Feng clan. They must not expose their relationship now. However, if they were not allowed to see their master, the two old phoenixes suddenly felt an itch in their hearts. It was as if a kitten was scratching their hearts with its claws, making them feel quite uncomfortable. The next moment, the two of them looked pitifully at the overbearing sixth elder. Seeing this, the sixth elder couldn't help but hold his forehead and said with a headache, "It's for your own good that I don't let you out." That Lien Wu clearly came with ill intentions, and the king has no one to use. Don't forget, you haven't fully recovered from your injuries. Her words were definitely from the bottom of her heart. The two old phoenixes also understood that little Six was doing this for their own good, and they could not directly tell their little thoughts to the sixth elder. Therefore, for a moment, the two old phoenixes were extremely conflicted. Seeing them like this, the sixth elder's heart softened and he softened his tone. "It's not impossible for you to go out and take a look at Lord Wu, but you absolutely can't go out now. Let's wait until this matter is almost over before going out. Now, all of you go back and take a nap." In fact, the sixth elder was also quite curious about what the Mist sect would do. However, she knew the Phoenix King too well. She knew that the Phoenix King would definitely find an elder to deal with it. And now, besides her, the sixth elder, who had gone on strike, there were no other idle elders in the Phoenix clan. At this time, the elders of the Phoenix clan were either in seclusion or had left home. Therefore, the sixth elder was definitely not willing to be used by the unrepentant Phoenix King. When Old Fire and Feng Miao heard the sixth elder's words, they both smiled evilly and said in unison, "Right. We can't let the king use us as laborers, so let's wait and go out to watch the show." When the sixth elder heard this, he nodded in satisfaction. Then, the three old phoenixes, who currently had the highest status in the Phoenix clan, turned around and returned to their rooms, drinking tea and chatting. At the same time, Leng Ruoxue, who had been treated as a jinx by the phoenixes and was on high alert, led the large group once again. They marched from the main entrance of the Phoenix clan's territory and headed towards the Phoenix Royal Palace. Chapter 24-22, Nouveau Riche Leng Ruoxue, 2. This time, due to Leng Ruoxue and the others' uninvited arrival, the Feng clan's guards were shocked and only cared about reporting back to the clan. Hence, Leng Ruoxue and the others entered the Feng clan without any obstruction as if they had entered an uninhabited place. The Peacock King was surprised and speechless at the fact that no one stopped them wherever they went. In the past, he had thought that the Phoenix clan was very powerful. But now, why did he think that the Phoenix clan was weak? What was he trying to do? They did not even see a single phoenix's feather as they walked past. However, he could vaguely feel that many pairs of eyes were hiding in the dark and peeping at them. Since when did the Phoenix kind start to do such things? Such a Phoenix clan was definitely not on the same level as the powerful Phoenix clan he knew. Or had the Feng clan been replaced? The Peacock King's mind was in turmoil. He felt quite depressed about the new understanding of the Phoenix tribe. One must know that in his heart, the Phoenix tribe was once a noble tribe. But now, he was deeply disappointed. He really wanted to see a battle between the Phoenix clan and his master. But now, it seemed like it was just his master's personal show. The dignified Phoenix clan had actually gone into hiding. How embarrassing! It was too embarrassing. The Peacock King was glad that he had left the Phoenix clan. Otherwise, he would have been humiliated along with the Phoenix clan. With this thought, the Peacock King's spirits were lifted. He raised his head and puffed out his chest, following Leng Ruoxue's footsteps with large strides. Leng Ruoxue, who suddenly felt the fluctuation of aura beside her, raised her head and saw the Peacock King's excited look. She found it funny, but she could not understand why he was acting like a completely different person. "Peacock King, you're about to meet the Phoenix King. Are you excited?" Leng Ruoxue smiled as she teased. "What?" The Peacock King was about to answer yes when he felt that his master's tone was a little off. The look in her eyes was even more off. The only thing that wasn't affected by the disguise was her beautiful eyes, which were filled with ambiguity. Instantly, the Peacock King became depressed. Does Master mean that he's excited because he's going to see the Phoenix King? I'm innocent. This was absolutely a great injustice. He was excited to see the Phoenix King, but it was definitely not the excitement that his master was thinking. He was excited because he knew that the Phoenix King was going to be in trouble. So, Master, can you not be so bad and deliberately wrong him? Thinking up to this point, the Peacock King's beautiful eyes were filled with tears. He pitifully said, "My dear, how could you misunderstand me? My heart is full of you." Upon hearing this, Lung Ruox's face was filled with black lines. She had miscalculated. She shouldn't have teased this little peacock in the Phoenix clan's territory. Once this little peacock was in the Phoenix clan's territory, out of caution, it would call her darling in a nauseating manner. Yet she couldn't say, "Don't call me that." Who asked this to be the Phoenix King's territory? At this moment, Lung Ruoxue deeply felt that she had shot herself in the foot. As for the other peacocks who had come to watch, cheer, and watch the fun, they all had goosebumps when they heard these mushy words. Many of the exaggerated peacocks even lowered their heads and pretended to look for something, not daring to look at their disgraceful king. Thanks as for the Peacock King, he received Song's icy cold gaze without exception. However, the strong and brave him still ignored Song's gaze. When Song saw this, he was furious. However, it didn't act rashly. Instead, it made a mental note of the Peacock King. "Someone will take care of you," Song said hatefully. At this moment, after listening to the Peacock King's words, Lung Ruoxue, who had been silent for a while, looked deeply at the Peacock King before continuing forward. Seeing this, the Peacock King hurriedly followed behind her like a guardian angel. With a depressed heart, Lung Ruoxue brought a large group of peacocks and arrived at the entrance of the Royal Phoenix Palace in no time. When they arrived at the entrance of the Royal Phoenix Palace, Lung Ruoxue's beautiful eyes swept across the place and saw the guards who were all ready to guard the Royal Phoenix Palace shiver. The leader of the guards even summoned up his courage and said, "Lord Lianwu, the Phoenix King is currently recuperating and won't see anyone. So, please go back." When the leader of the guards said this, he mustered all his strength, and his little heart was trembling non-stop. However, Lung Ruoxue did not take his words seriously at all. She only asked indifferently, "Does the Phoenix King know that I'm here?" I know. I don't know." The leader of the guards was speaking incoherently. One moment he knew, the next moment he didn't. Hearing this, Lung Ruoxue was anxious for him. "All right, you don't have to be in a difficult position. It doesn't matter if you know or not. Go and report that I want to see the Phoenix King." Lung Ruoxue ordered. When the guard leader heard Lung Ruoxue's words, he was so conflicted that he was on the verge of tears. Even though he wanted to say that the Phoenix King had said that she did not want to see him, when he saw how determined Lung Ruoxue was to see the Phoenix King, the leader of the guards did not dare to say the words that were already at the tip of his tongue. "Do you want to go in and report yourself, or do you want me to use force?" Lung Ruoxue said impatiently when she saw the guard leader trembling again. Hearing this threat, the guard leader's eyes were filled with tears. He couldn't help but cry out in his heart, "My lord, you can't do this. Aren't you making things difficult for me?" However, Lung Ruoxue clearly did not care if the other party was making things difficult for her. The peacocks behind her even took advantage of her authority and shouted in unison, "Quickly go and tell the Phoenix King that my lord wants to see her. He'll beat you up if you dawdle." The guard leader was silent. Was this considered as the phoenix falling into the sun and being bullied by the peacock? The leader of the guards was quite depressed. He was actually bullied in his own territory. How useless was this? However, after the peacocks finished their roars, they felt extremely comfortable. An unprecedented sense of satisfaction filled their bodies. This feeling of exaltation was simply too wonderful. "Quickly go. What are you doing?" After a while, seeing that the guard leader was standing still, another peacock tried to roar. The leader of the guards was so depressed that he wanted to bang his head against the wall. He raised his head to look at Leng Ruoxue, but he still did not move. At this moment, Leng Ruoxue glanced at the peacocks and said calmly, "Didn't you say you were going to beat him up? Why aren't you doing anything?" Ugh. After the peacocks heard this, they cried out in surprise. Then, they suddenly realized that their master wanted them to beat someone up. Cheering, the peacocks swarmed up. The unlucky human guard leader didn't even have the time to attack before he was beaten to the ground by the huge number of peacocks. The peacocks didn't know how to control their strength, and many of them took the opportunity to take revenge. Therefore, the extremely aggrieved guard leader didn't react at all. The other guards present were all scared silly when they saw the fierce and brutal appearance of the peacocks. Chapter 24-23, Nouveau riche Leng Ruoxue, 3. This also led to no guards coming to the rescue after the leader of the guards was beaten. After the leader of the guards fell to the ground, no guard dared to stand out. Moreover, the guards of the Phoenix tribe could not understand when the peacocks had become so ferocious. Were these the peacocks they knew? Injected with chicken blood? Or did he take hormones? In contrast to the Phoenix clan's guards' gloominess, the peacocks were excited again. They looked at Leng Ruoxue with eyes full of admiration. It's better to follow master. In the past, they never had the chance to beat up Phoenix. Not to mention that they didn't have the chance, more importantly, they didn't have the guts to do so. But now, not only did they treat these phoenixes as nothing, but they also had the opportunity to beat these phoenixes up. At this moment, they truly felt that they were too blessed. As expected, there was meat to eat, wine to drink, and a phoenix to beat following master. Leng Ruoxue was very satisfied with the peacock's swift and decisive actions. After giving them a look of praise, her beautiful eyes swept over the guards present. Even though she did not say a word, many of the timid guards could not help but tremble. "I'll go and inform the Phoenix King," one of the Phoenix clan's guards said in an unyielding manner under Leng Ruoxue's threatening gaze. However, no matter how important a backbone was, it couldn't be more important than his life, right? These vicious and brutal guys would really beat the Phoenix to death. What made them feel aggrieved was that all the peacocks attacked in close combat, not giving them any chance to attack. After thinking about it, the tactful Feng clan guard put down his moral integrity and went to run errands for Leng Ruoxue. Not long after, Leng Ruoxue heard loud banging sounds coming from the courtyard of the Phoenix Palace. Following that, a guard with a swollen face and a bruised nose appeared in front of Leng Ruoxue and the others. He said with tears in his eyes, "Lord Lianwu, I've already informed the Phoenix King." He was even beaten up by the Phoenix King. Sob, "You've done well. This is your reward," Leng Ruoxue said with satisfaction. With that, Leng Ruoxue threw a small white jade bottle to the guard. The guard opened the bottle in confusion. The fragrance from the bottle instantly filled his nose. The guard was shocked and immediately poured out a pill and ate it. He then quickly closed the bottle and kept it carefully. After that, he looked at Leng Ruoxue with an even more charming gaze. He wasn't a fool and naturally knew that Lord Lianwu had given him a healing pill. However, the effect of this healing pill seemed to be even better than the best healing pill in their clan. In the blink of an eye, he felt that the injuries on his body were no longer painful. When he touched it with his hand, he realized that the injuries on his face and body had all healed. This guard was quite knowledgeable and knew how serious the injuries that the Phoenix King had caused him were. Even if he had taken healing pills, it was impossible for him to recover so quickly. However, the pills that Lord Lianwu had given him were very effective, so there was no need to doubt it. The guards were very grateful to Leng Ruoxue and no longer stopped her from entering the inner court of the Phoenix King Palace. As for the other guards who had seen the effects of Leng Ruoxue's elixir, they were not as determined as before. Now, they also felt that this Lord Lianwu really couldn't be offended. Look at how generous he was, directly giving a bottle of healing medicinal pills. The effect of that medicine was so amazing, and such a good healing medicinal pill would probably be sold for a sky-high price in the divine realm. However, after giving a bottle, he didn't even blink. How rich was he? What a nouveau riche's behavior! When the other guards looked at the guard who had received the pill, their eyes instantly burned with desire. Do you guys really want that pill too? Lung Ruoxue chuckled. Yes, yes. When the guards heard this, they all nodded in unison. The expression on their faces was like a puppy asking for a caress, as cute as it could be. I still have a lot of them. Lung Ruoxue smiled in satisfaction. Hearing this, the guards suppressed the desire in their hearts and looked at Lung Ruoxue. None of the guards present were stupid. They knew that Lord Lianwu would not give them such a precious pill for no reason. Thus, they were all waiting for Lung Ruoxue's conditions. Thanks at this moment, she heard Lung Ruoxue say, Actually, I want to be on good terms with the Phoenix clan. The elders of the Phoenix clan also have the same intention. However, your Phoenix king refuses to agree no matter what. She even chased away those elders. So, I pity you ordinary clansmen. The Phoenix kind now has no elders to help the Phoenix king. In the future, your king will be a commander with nothing but light. I'm afraid the status of the Phoenix clan is also. Lung Ruoxue purposely didn't finish her sentence. When the guards heard what Lung Ruoxue had to say, they all fell silent. In fact, the elders' strike was no longer a secret in the clan. However, many clansmen didn't know why the elders went on strike. However, as the guards of the Phoenix king, they definitely knew more than the ordinary clansmen. Now that they heard Lung Ruoxue's words, the guards could not help but hold a grudge against the Phoenix king. Especially after seeing Lung Ruoxue's precious pills, the guards deeply felt that befriending Lung Ruoxue would definitely bring more benefits than disadvantages to the Phoenix clan. But in this matter, these small guards could not make the decision. Lord Lianwu were just guards. We don't have the right to speak in such important matters of the Feng clan. Therefore, even if we really hope that the Feng clan can be on good terms with you, we're just insignificant people. I'm afraid we can't do anything about this matter. The guards looked at each other and sent a representative to speak. I don't need you to have the right to speak. It's enough as long as you have the intention. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Then what does Lord Lianwu want us to do? The guard asked. Just tell the truth about the elders' strike to those clansmen who don't know the truth. You don't want the elders, who have been fighting for the interests of the Phoenix kind, to be misunderstood by the clansmen, do you? Lung Ruoxue gave the guard a "you're very smart" look before replying. This is what I should do. When the guard heard this, he felt that Lung Ruoxue's request was not a difficult one. She just had to spread the truth. In any case, even if they didn't say these things, their clansmen would know one day. Seeing that the guards had agreed, Lung Ruoxue nodded her head in satisfaction. She then took out a few small white jade bottles and placed them in front of the guards. She explained, the pills inside are all for healing and recovering Shen power. Each person has 2 bottles. You can divide them among yourselves. Tycoon. He was definitely a big tycoon. When the guards heard this, they were instantly excited. They saw the white jade bottle releasing a green light that was like a wolfess. However, in front of Lung Ruoxue, they held back and did not make a move. When Lung Ruoxue brought her peacocks into the inner courtyard of the Phoenix Palace, the guards immediately swarmed forward and divided the small jade bottles among themselves. As the saying goes, one's mouth is soft when eating others, and one's hands are short when taking something. The guards of the Phoenix clan would never dare to take something from someone else without doing anything. Therefore, in just a short while, all the clansmen in the Phoenix clan's territory knew the truth about their elders' strike. In an instant, the whole Phoenix clan was full of complaints against the Phoenix king. This whirlwind quickly reached Feng Miao and the other 2. After the 6th elder heard the report from his clansmen, he was stunned for a long time. When Feng Miao and Old Fire saw this, they could only stand there in a daze, not saying a word. I only found out today that our Feng clan's guards are actually so eloquent. After a long time, the 6th elder suddenly said, We didn't expect it either, but they're telling the truth. Feng Miao casually echoed. As far as he knew, the words of the guards of the Feng clan were vivid and vivid. Although there was no lack of exaggeration, but at least 80% of it was true. Feng Xiao and the sixth elder were also said to be heroic figures who dared to argue with the Feng king for the benefit of the Feng clan, and they were instantly respected and worshipped by the people. However, it seemed that their little sixth did not want to be in the limelight. It seems that our elder council's decision to be on good terms with Lord Lianwu was correct. That lord actually bribed the guards so quickly, he's really not simple. At this time, the sixth elder sighed. In fact, the sixth elder knew very well that some of the clan members had been guessing the truth behind the strike. However, all of the elders had kept their mouths shut. They had also chosen to close one eye to those rumors. They did this not because they wanted to hide the truth for the Phoenix King, but because Feng Tong was still the king of the Phoenix clan. If Feng Tong's reputation was damaged, the reputation of the Phoenix clan would be affected as well. But now, even if they wanted to hide it for the Phoenix King, it seemed that they couldn't. Could this be the will of the heavens? Fortunately, only the members of the Phoenix clan knew the inside story. Otherwise, the Phoenix clan would have become the laughingstock of the divine realm. The sixth elder could ignore the reputation of the Phoenix King, but he couldn't ignore the reputation of the entire Phoenix clan. After sighing, she was conflicted again. This matter must not be spread out. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. When Feng Miao and Old Fire heard the sixth elder's words, they were secretly happy. Their master didn't have a way. It would be strange if any beastie could refuse such a rich person's behavior of directly throwing medicinal pills. However, only his master would dare to do that. If it were anyone else, even if they had that many pills, they would not have the courage to do so. With this thought, the two of them were suddenly filled with pride. Chapter 24-24 The Powerlessness of the Phoenix King 1. After looking at each other, Feng Wan acted as their representative and said, "Little Six is right, but unfortunately, our king doesn't understand this truth. It's really a headache." Yup. When the sixth elder heard this, he also sighed deeply. They could tolerate the fact that the king was lecherous, but sometimes when the king was stubborn, it was really a headache. Moreover, she didn't need to think to know that without the elder's restraint, the king would definitely not put Lord Lianwu in his eyes. However, now that they had all gone on strike, it was useless to think about this. Forget it. I'll just follow the king. She could do whatever she wanted. In any case, the Feng clan's reputation was not as good as it used to be, so how bad could it be? With this thought in mind, the sixth elder decided to go all out. It was her fault for not being able to stop the king's actions. When Old Fire and Feng Miao saw the sixth elder sighing again, they followed suit and sighed as well. However, their feelings were definitely different from the sixth elderess, because they were hoping that the Phoenix King would become a commander without any power. Otherwise, it would be inconvenient for them to move around, right? With that thought in mind, Old Fire secretly gave Feng Miao a look, then probed, "If Feng Wu was still here, our Feng clan would never be in this state." Hearing this, the two of them saw the sixth elder's face instantly turn pale. Just as the two of them were confused, they heard the sixth elder say nervously, "Don't talk nonsense, why are you mentioning Feng Wu? If this reaches the king's ears, I'm sure you'll be in serious trouble." The sixth elder's warning made the two of them look at each other again. They even thought at the same time that Little Six also knew about the previous Phoenix King. It seemed that none of the elders of the Phoenix clan were easy to deal with. It was just that they didn't show it. With this thought in mind, Old Huan naturally intended to continue his efforts. He deliberately lowered his voice and asked the sixth elder, "How much do you know about Feng Wu? Why are you asking this?" The sixth elder asked cautiously. "I'm just curious." Old Fire was a little embarrassed. What did Little Six take him for? Did he have to be so guarded against him? Looking at Little Six's expression, he could guess that Little Six should know a lot about the former Phoenix King. You don't have to be curious about this kind of thing. Old Hua, I don't care what you think in your heart or how much you know. You must keep the matter of the former Phoenix King to yourself and don't mention it to anyone. The sixth elder said worriedly. If the king knew that they were discussing the previous Phoenix King in private, the current king would not let them off. All right then. Old Hua replied helplessly. Looking at the sixth elder's cautious expression, he knew that he wouldn't be able to get anything out of him this time. It seemed like he and Feng Miao still had a long way to go before they could get the sixth elder to defect. At least, it would not be that easy to get past the sixth elder. However, it was fortunate that the sixth elder had a good relationship with the two of them. No matter what he heard from them, he would not reveal it. This way, he and Feng Miao would still be a little safer. However, he truly hoped that the sixth elder would stand on his side. In the Feng clan, other than their own descendants, only Feng Miao was closer to them. They naturally did not want to become enemies with the sixth elder. After this matter was returned empty-handed, Feng Miao was afraid that Old Fire and the sixth elder would feel awkward, so she quickly changed the topic. Old Hua, little six, I think we can get ready to go and watch the show. Not now. The sixth elder rejected Feng Miao's suggestion. Then when are we going out? Old Fire said anxiously. Although they could observe everything in the Phoenix King Palace through their divine sense if they stayed here, it would be easy for the Phoenix King to discover them. Therefore, it would be better to go to the scene and watch the show. Besides, with the sixth elder here, Old Fire truly felt that there was no need for him and Feng Miao to secretly meet their master. The two of them could totally appear in front of their master openly with the sixth elder accompanying them. Thanks, however, little six didn't agree to it. We'll go out when King and Lord Lianwu are almost done with their discussion. The sixth elder said after some thought. She was absolutely unwilling to get involved in the grudge between the king and Lord Lianwu. She only cared about the development of the Feng clan. Seeing that the sixth elder had made up his mind, the two of them could only nod in agreement. However, they really felt that the sixth elder was too naive. How could the Phoenix King, that scum, let them go? When the Phoenix King sees that there is no one to use, he will definitely send someone to find them. Sure enough, not long after the two of them thought this, the secret guards of the Phoenix King appeared and conveyed the order of the Phoenix King. After the three of them readily agreed, none of them immediately took action. Instead, they became calmer. At the same time, Lung Ruoxue had also brought her men and was approaching the entrance of the Phoenix King's chamber. The Phoenix King, who was in the room, heard the sound of footsteps close at hand and the anger in his heart rushed to his head. The elders of the Feng clan actually dared to go on a strike, and she was the last one to know about it. Such an important piece of news, and none of her secret guards had reported it to her. This was preposterous. Looking at the head of the secret guards kneeling in front of him with disdain, the Phoenix King wanted to cut him into pieces. After glaring at the other party, the Phoenix King roared angrily, "Do you think I'm dead? The elders are on strike. Why didn't you tell me? King, we're only responsible for your safety. Anything else has nothing to do with us. We can't cross the line. This is the rule you said in the beginning." The leader of the hidden guard said without any shame, "Protect me? Did you protect me?" Hearing the leader's words, the Phoenix King was so angry that he laughed. If these guys had really protected her, how could she have been so badly injured? Thinking of this, the anger in the Phoenix King's heart rose a few more steps. However, after hearing what the Phoenix King had to say, the leader of the secret guards did not panic. Instead, he said calmly, "The king doesn't allow us to get close to him when he's doing business. This is also the rule that the king set in the beginning." The Phoenix King was furious. So she didn't know that the elders really went on strike and that she was injured because of her own actions. This was clearly shirking responsibility. Thinking of this, the Phoenix King was so angry that he shouted again, "What about my secret agents? Were they also mute? Why didn't you tell me about this?" The king said that he would not see anyone. Therefore, the guards followed the king's orders strictly. The king's secret agents could not see the king even if they wanted to. The leader of the hidden guards said matter-of-factly. When the Phoenix King heard this, he almost vomited blood. She really didn't know how to describe her feelings at this time, because no matter how she asked, the leader of the secret guards had 100 reasons for waiting for her. More importantly, he said it so reasonably that she couldn't refute it. Who asked her, the Phoenix King, to set many rules. Chapter 24-25. The powerlessness of the Phoenix King, too. Could she say that these secret guards were not doing their job well? However, the consequence of these guys doing their job so well was that she, as the king, knew nothing about what happened in the clan. Wasn't this price a little too big? You did that on purpose? The extremely angry Phoenix King took a deep breath and spoke without thinking. When the leader of the hidden guards heard this, he immediately felt wronged. King, we secret guards have always been loyal to King. How can King doubt us? If King can't even trust the secret guards he personally chose, who else can King trust? The leader of the hidden guards said very emotionally. Coupled with his fiery red eyes that were filled with tears, it was as if he had really suffered a great grievance. When the Phoenix King heard this, she suddenly felt a suffocating feeling in her chest. She wanted to spit it out, but she couldn't swallow it down. It was only until her pale face turned red that she finally let out this breath of air. After taking a deep breath, the Phoenix King panted and shouted, "From today onwards, your position as a hidden guard is revoked." She didn't need a disobedient leader of the secret guards. Although the words of the leader of the hidden guards sounded very reasonable, she was still unhappy in her heart. She kept feeling that something was wrong. At this time, there were some fluctuations in the air not far from the Phoenix King. Then, a man in black clothes appeared in the Phoenix King's bedroom. The man first glanced at the leader of the secret guards who was kneeling in front of the Phoenix King. After frowning silently, he said directly to the Phoenix King, "Your Majesty, this subordinate has already informed the sixth elder and the other two." "Very good. From today onwards, you are the leader of this king's hidden guards." When the Phoenix King heard the report, he was in a much better mood. "Yes," the black-clothed man replied and then stood to the side. However, after waiting for a long time, the Phoenix King still did not see the sixth elder and the other two appear in her chamber. Instead, Lung Ruoxue did. Looking at the ugly woman who had pushed open the door of her palace and was standing there with a smile on her face, the Phoenix King's heart was filled with anger again. "Damn it! This woman! You're so rude. Don't you know how to knock?" The Phoenix King said in anger. She didn't want to see this woman the most, but she had arrived so soon. "Knock on the door? I want to." However, I'm afraid that it'll disturb the Phoenix King's happy occasion and cause the Phoenix King to be frightened again. "If that happens, it'll be my fault," Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. When the peacocks behind her heard this, they all chuckled suggestively. That laughter greatly provoked the Phoenix King. Thanks, the Phoenix King stretched out her snow-white fingers and said to the two men in black, "Someone has trespassed into this king's palace. Take her down." Hearing this, no matter if it was the former leader of the hidden guards or the new leader of the hidden guards, neither of them moved. Seeing this, the Phoenix King's anger rose again. "Are you guys deaf? Didn't you hear my order?" The Phoenix King was about to go crazy. Why did she feel that everything was out of her control after a few days of rest? It was fine if the elders were disobedient, but how could the secret guards that he had personally trained dare to disobey his orders? "Your Highness, please calm down. I heard that your secret guards are only responsible for your safety and will only help you when you are in danger. Now that I am not a threat to your life, isn't it natural that they have not helped? Why do you have to make things difficult for them? As the saying goes, nothing can be accomplished without rules. You can't take the lead and break the rules. You must know that secret guards are not attendants or male companions. They have to do whatever you want them to do." Seeing that the Phoenix King was being unreasonable, Lung Ruoxue spoke up for the two pitiful secret guards out of goodwill. Her words had successfully earned the two secret guards grateful gazes. However, the Phoenix King looked at Lung Ruoxue as if she could not wait to kill her. However, Lung Ruoxue didn't care about these things. She casually found a chair and sat down. Lung Ruoxue's beautiful eyes swept across the room as she asked curiously, It's rare to see no man serving the Phoenix King. I'm not used to it." "You?" The Phoenix King pointed at Lung Ruoxue fiercely. She was so angry that she could not even form a complete sentence. Was he mocking her on purpose? How could she be so lecherous that she had to be accompanied by a man wherever she went? "Phoenix King, don't be afraid. I'm not here to fight with you. I just want to seek justice for my little peacock and some compensation. Lung Ruoxue saw that the Phoenix King's face had turned black from anger, so she quickly explained her intentions. She didn't want the Phoenix King to let his thoughts run wild or gather his clansmen to deal with her. If that happened, she would be very tired. Who knew that after hearing her words, the Phoenix King's face became even uglier and he shouted like a crazy woman without caring about his image, "Damn it! What justice do you have to seek? You still want compensation? No way. No way? Even a window would do. I'm not picky," Lung Ruoxue said in an infuriating manner. After saying this, Lung Ruoxue saw that the Phoenix King's face had turned even darker as if she was willing to. As she laughed in her heart, Lung Ruoxue continued, "While I was in the parasol tree forest, you threatened and teased my little peacock, causing him considerable physical and mental harm. Even now, he still remembers your threat and has nightmares. Therefore, you must compensate me for this. Otherwise, I will report this to God Lord Fogripple and beg God Lord to make the decision for me." Lung Ruoxue's words were extremely serious. If others were to see this, they would not think that she was joking. In addition, with the dumbfounded Peacock King by her side, outsiders would believe her words even more. This was the effect that Lung Ruoxue wanted. However, the Peacock King's dazed look was definitely not because he was frightened by the Phoenix King, but because he was stunned by his master's shameless words. When did he suffer such a serious injury? When did she have a nightmare? Why didn't he know anything about it? The Peacock King was puzzled, but he also knew that he could not afford to let his master down. Hence, he had no choice but to cooperate with Lung Ruoxue in a distressed manner. At the same time, he put on a frightened expression. His skin was relatively fair, and coupled with his expression, he looked like a pale, frightened pretty boy. Even the Peacock tribe members who knew the truth deeply believed their master's words at this moment, thinking that the king had really been frightened. From this, it could be seen how well he had acted. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxue gave the Peacock King a satisfied look, as if she was a promising student. Then, she turned to the Phoenix King and said, "Phoenix King, look at how you've scared my little peacock. How could you have the heart to scare him? Don't you take other people's men seriously? Or do you think that I don't dare to seek justice for my little peacock? Other people might be afraid of you, but I'm not." Her words were so imposing that even the Phoenix King was stunned at first. But very quickly, the Phoenix King reacted and said with a dark expression, "Is the Peacock King really frightened? Then wasn't he a little too timid? You're willing to have such a useless man? Even Lord Wu, I feel wronged for you." Chapter 24-26, The Powerlessness of the Phoenix King, 3. The Phoenix King's words were obviously trying to sow discord. However, she didn't expect that her threat would really scare the Peacock King. Now that she thought about it, she didn't seem to have said anything too serious. Why was the Peacock King so frightened? She couldn't understand it. When Lung Ruoxue heard the Phoenix King's provocation, she did not get angry. Instead, she looked at the Peacock Queen considerately and said, "Phoenix King, you're wrong. Your Phoenix clan is the leader of all birds. Isn't it only natural for the Peacock King to be afraid of your threat? It would be abnormal if he wasn't afraid. Don't you agree?" When the Phoenix King heard this, he really wanted to lie to his conscience and say that it was wrong. However, she really couldn't bring herself to say such shameless and quibbling words. After all, her skin wasn't thick to such a profound degree, and all birds were afraid of the Phoenix clan. This was also determined by their nature. If she really denied it, once these words were spread, she, the Phoenix King, would probably be laughed at by all the people and beasts of the immortal realm until their teeth fell off. It could be said that the Phoenix King still had his own pride in some aspects. Seeing that the Phoenix King was not responding, Lung Ruoxue could only continue to speak non-stop. "Phoenix King, we are all women. I can understand your thoughts. In your heart, you must not want to see the Peacock King live well. However, if your threat was directed at me, I definitely wouldn't blame you. Who asked us to be love rivals? Which love rival would get along with each other in harmony? But the person you're threatening is my little peacock. You've touched my reverse scale. Thus, I have to make an announcement for my little peacock. I hope you can understand. Otherwise, where would I put my face? Lung Ruaksha's words were absolutely reasonable, and even the Phoenix King could not find any fault with them. Furthermore, Lung Ruaksha's words had also struck a chord in her heart. As a strong woman, it was only right and proper for her to stand up for her man. If it was her, and her man was threatened by another woman, she would also seek justice for her man. But now, she was not the one seeking justice, so she felt uncomfortable no matter how she thought about it. Especially when she saw the Peacock King looking longingly at the ugly woman in front of him, the fire of jealousy in her heart burned again. He was making eyes at her again. Was he looking for death? The more the Phoenix King thought about it, the more she felt that it was unfair. It should be known that the Peacock King had never shown such a little man's expression in front of her, and she had taken a fancy to the Peacock King a long time ago. Although she had never been able to get him, she could not allow this adulterous couple to be so intimate in front of her. Wasn't this a slap to her face? At that moment, the Phoenix King, who initially thought that Lung Ruaksha's words made sense, immediately denied her words. Then, the Phoenix King said to Lung Ruashue in a rage, "You've also said that our Phoenix clan is the leader of the Bird clan. Isn't it normal for me to say a few words to him? What was there to be scared of? You must know that not everyone is qualified to be taught by this king. This is his honor." In the face of the Phoenix King's unreasonable words, Lung Ruashue only smiled and said calmly, "Phoenix King, have you forgotten that the peacock race is already mine? It's none of my business if the Phoenix King wants to educate other birds, but it's not your place to educate my people, understand? Even if the Peacock clan is already your people, they are still birds, and are under the jurisdiction of our Phoenix clan. This is the nature of the Beast clan." The Phoenix King quibbled. "It seems that I can't come to an agreement with the Phoenix King." Lung Ruashue smiled faintly after hearing the Phoenix Prince's words. "What, you want to fight? You're only a divine emperor, and these peacocks aren't of much use to you. You'd better think carefully." When the Phoenix King heard this, he felt that this was the prelude to a fight. He quickly warned. It seems that the Phoenix King really likes to threaten others. However, what I want to say is that the Phoenix King should just take care of yourself. You don't have to worry about us. Lung Ruashue said without any appreciation. "You don't know what's good for you." The Phoenix King scoffed coldly and shot Lung Ruashue a disdainful look. If it wasn't for her identity, she would have attacked this annoying woman long ago. However, it wasn't too late. Moreover, this was the other party's initiative to stir up trouble, so she presumably couldn't blame her for it. When the Phoenix King thought of this, his mood immediately became better. Who knew that Lung Ruashue would return her gaze and say, "Since I can't come to an agreement with the Phoenix King, then we won't talk anymore. We'll take our leave." With that, Lung Ruashue led a group of dazed peacocks and left the Phoenix clan as if there was no one else present, under the gaze of the similarly dumbfounded Phoenix King. Even after Lung Ruashue left with the peacocks, the Phoenix King was still in a daze and was completely petrified. She couldn't understand how things had suddenly become like this. What was going on? The Phoenix King only reacted when the sixth elder, Old Fire, and Feng Miao arrived. She grabbed the sixth elder's hand and asked angrily, "Where's that bitch Lian Wu?" "King, Lord Lian Wu has already left." The sixth elder said honestly. They had just happened to see Lord Lian Wu leaving with a large group of peacocks at the gate. Although they had met face to face, neither side had spoken, so the sixth elder was somewhat confused about what had happened. After the sixth elder finished speaking, he saw that the Phoenix King's face was like a color palette, white then red, red then green, green then black. Obviously, his king was very angry. Thanks, the Phoenix King was not only furious. She was so angry that she was going crazy. He was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. She was already prepared to fight and was planning to teach that bitch Lian Wu a good lesson. Who knew that not only did she not want to fight with her, but she also directly left. This was like a person who had long been prepared for battle, but his punch landed on cotton. How powerless was this? The Phoenix King was depressed. He was still very, very depressed. He felt extremely aggrieved, as if there was a fire burning in his chest, but he couldn't let it out. This feeling was not good. Looking at the silent and sulky Phoenix King, the sixth elder didn't know what to say. Could she say that she was starting to pity the king? Based on her understanding of Wang Ding had intended to make a move, but his opponent had left so easily that she no longer had the best reason to make a move. And if his opponent had not made a move, Wang Ding would not have taken the initiative due to his relationship with God Lord Fog Ripple. As such, the sixth elder concluded that the king must be feeling extremely aggrieved. The tactful sixth elder did not want to be the king's punching bag, so he gave Old Fire and Feng Miao, who were happily watching the show, a look, and the three of them promptly left the Phoenix King Palace. Sure enough, when the Phoenix King came back to his senses and wanted to ask the sixth elder about the strike, he couldn't find him at all. According to the guard's report, the sixth elder had left the Phoenix clan with Old Fire and Feng Miao to find natural treasures for healing, and the date of his return was uncertain. Now, the only elder in the Phoenix clan who wasn't in seclusion had also run away from home. When the Phoenix King heard the news, he smashed all the decorations in the Phoenix King Palace in a fit of anger. But what was the use of that? The Phoenix King, who had become the commander of the army, could only sulk alone. However, Old Fire and Feng Miao did not run away from home of their own will. The two of them had been dragged out by the sixth elder. Moreover, it was after they left the royal Phoenix Palace. They didn't even have the chance to return to their rooms before they were directly led out of the Phoenix territory by the sixth elder. The two of them couldn't understand the sixth elder's actions, and they were even more depressed. They were carrying the mission of instigating a rebellion. If they were to leave the Feng clan just like that, how were they going to complete their mission? More importantly, they had only taken a glance at their master previously. Although they were shocked by their master's appearance, she was still their master. He couldn't even say a word to his master. What a great regret. With this thought in mind, the two of them looked at the sixth elder with even more resentment. The sixth elder felt the gazes of the two old men and smiled helplessly. "You don't know the king as well as I do. When she comes back to her senses, she'll definitely find trouble with us. So, in order to prevent trouble before it happens, we'd better leave. When are we going back to the clan?" Old Fire could not help but ask. "I don't know. We'll see." The sixth elder let out a soft sigh, and a trace of worry appeared on his face. Old Fire was speechless. If they were never able to return to the clan, how were he and Feng Miao supposed to complete this mission? This was the first mission given to them by their master after they had acknowledged him as their master. If they failed, they would be too ashamed to face their master. Old Fire was worried. Feng Miao was also silent. The sixth elder kept sighing. The three aimless old phoenixes were at a loss, not knowing where to go. However, Old Fire still reported his current situation to his master. After Lung Ruoxue expressed her understanding, she instructed them to take good care of themselves. Just like that, the three old phoenixes began their wandering life in the god world. At this moment, after Lung Ruoxue had left the Phoenix clan and returned to the Peacock clan with a group of peacocks, she was immediately surrounded by a group of peacocks led by the Peacock King. Lung Ruoxue burst out laughing when she saw the peacock's anxious expressions. "Master, you can still laugh? Isn't it too cowardly of us to leave the Phoenix clan just like that? I'm afraid that the Phoenix King will look down on us even more in the future," the Peacock King said with a face full of hidden bitterness. He had originally thought that his master would have a great fight with the Phoenix King. Who would have thought that after the other party showed their provocative state, they would actually leave with their tails between their legs like a feather? Chapter 24-27. You don't have to rely on force to defeat your enemy. 1. Wasn't this a case of loud thunder and light rain? The Peacock King was extremely disappointed. They were full of vigor and energy as they headed towards the Phoenix clan's territory. Who knew that even if they didn't get justice, how could they leave so easily? Wouldn't this benefit the Phoenix King? That damned Phoenix King would definitely think that they were afraid. However, the truth was that ever since they acknowledged Lung Ruoxue as their master, the Peacock clan's morale had been greatly boosted. They had almost forgotten how to spell the word fear. Hence, they could not wait to have a great battle with the Phoenix clan to boost their morale. However, it was clearly impossible now. The Peacock King was disappointed, but he didn't know what his master was doing. The other peacocks wanted to ask but didn't dare to. Hence, they could only stare at Lung Ruoxue with resentment. When Lung Ruoxue saw the peacock's little expressions, she was indeed laughing quite happily. However, she couldn't help but look at the number of peacocks she had with a resentful gaze. No matter how thick-skinned she was, she couldn't bear the pitiful gazes. After sighing, Lung Ruoxue explained helplessly, "What are you guys so impatient for? I didn't say that I would let the Phoenix King go. Don't worry, I will get justice for you." Hearing this, the peacock spirits were lifted again. The Peacock King looked at his master with a face full of guilt. His eyes were filled with tears and he said, "Master, I was wrong. I should have believed you." Even so, the Peacock King couldn't help but ask, "Master, when are we going to attack the Phoenix clan? Now that the elders of the Phoenix kind are not here, it's a great opportunity." Upon hearing this, Lung Ruoxue broke out in a cold sweat. When did this little peacock become so violent? Was this still the beastie that she knew that had a little suffering attribute? This was clearly a male T-Rex. Lung Ruoxue was speechless, but she would never admit that this little peacock had learned to be violent from her. She couldn't take the blame for this. After coming up with an excuse, Lung Ruoxue shot a disapproving glance at the Peacock King and said calmly, "Peacock King, and you little peacocks, Master will give you a good lesson today." After Lung Ruoxue finished speaking, she deliberately paused to see the peacock's reaction. As expected, the peacocks, including the Peacock King, were at a loss when they heard Lung Ruoxue's words. Teach them? Or did they do something wrong, and their master wanted to teach them a lesson? However, it didn't look like their master was going to educate them. They could still feel whether their master was angry or not. Even though the peacocks did not quite understand Lung Ruoxue's words, they all put on a modest front and looked up at Lung Ruoxue, waiting for their master's next words. Lung Ruoxue looked at the cute little peacocks who were waiting to listen to her. Her heart was itching. At the same time, she stretched out her snow-white claws and touched the head of one of the little peacocks. Then, she touched them one by one before she reluctantly retracted her wolf claws. The peacocks were even more confused after being touched. What was Master doing? Thanks taking advantage? Many peacocks thought so, but they did not dare to say it out loud. They could already feel the little white cat's sharp gaze in its owner's arms. It was turning into ice shards and shooting towards them. That was so scary. After the peacocks sensed the danger, they all moved back in unison to maintain a safe distance from their masters. "Master didn't you want to give us a lesson? Well, be waiting." At this time, an elder of the Peacock clan mustered his courage and said under the encouragement of the other peacocks, "Okay, let's start now." Lung Ruoxue was naturally happy to see the peacocks so motivated. After a few coughs, she continued, "Today, I'll give you all the first lesson. That is, you can't defeat your enemies by force. If we don't rely on force, then what should we rely on?" An older peacock asked with a puzzled expression. To the beast race, force was the best way for them to show off their strength. Therefore, they really couldn't think of a better way than force. Even though she was interrupted, Lung Ruoxue was not angry. She was also very happy that these peacocks took the initiative to ask her questions. She then patiently explained to this old peacock, "Of course it's wisdom." When the peacocks heard that it was wisdom, they immediately exploded. They didn't like to use their brains as it was too tiring. It was better for them to have a direct fight. However, they had to listen to their master's advice. For a moment, the peacocks were at a loss. "Master, we beasts are not like humans who like to use schemes and intrigues. It's better for us to take action directly." After a long time, the similarly conflicted Peacock King finally couldn't help but speak. To make the beasts use their brains, wasn't this the same as asking for their old lives? It was possible to make the 4 king divine beasts use their brains for everything because the 4 king divine beasts had always been proud and arrogant. They felt that they were not inferior to humans and even wanted to be stronger than humans in every aspect. However, ordinary beasts like them did not have such ambitions and did not want to be in the limelight. To the majority of the magical beasts in the divine realm, as long as they were not bullied by others, had a wife, and had a few children, it was enough for them to live for the rest of their lives. So, what was there to be ambitious about? It was really quite far away from them. If there were conflicts between the beasts and humans, or between the beasts and beasts, the most common solution was to fight. This was the behavior of a man, and it was more satisfying. If the beasts were to become like humans, many of them would die of suffocation. Take action directly? That was the behavior of barbarians. We're all well-bred beastie, so we naturally can't do this. Lung Ruoxue replied matter-of-factly. The Peacock King didn't know how to react. Could he say that he didn't know many words and wasn't cultured? However, looking at his master's expression, it seemed as if being uncultured was a rather embarrassing thing. Therefore, the Peacock King really didn't dare to say that he was illiterate. Otherwise, he might be despised by his master. So, uncultured child, I can't afford to hurt you. Seeing that the Peacock King seemed to be in a dilemma, Lung Ruoxue continued, Actually, I don't mean that you can't directly attack any enemy. It's not a problem for you to directly attack an enemy of equal strength or even lower strength than you. If you have to use wisdom against such an enemy, then I can only say that you are too weak. The enemy I want you to use your intelligence on must be stronger than you. For example, the Phoenix King. With your current strength, it's not quite possible for you to defeat the Phoenix King. As for me, I can't use my full strength now. Otherwise, my identity will be exposed, and my plan will be in vain. Thus, we need to avoid them as much as possible and find an opportunity to catch them off guard. This way, we can obtain the greatest benefits with the least losses. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Chapter 24-28. You don't have to rely on force to defeat your enemy. 2. Master, are you saying that we should launch a sneak attack on the Phoenix King? After hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, the Peacock King was stunned for a moment before he replied. I want ambush you. Lung Ruoxue denied. Then how do we catch them off guard? The Peacock King was even more confused now. He felt that he could not keep up with his master's pace. During this period of time, he had seen with his own eyes how Lung Ruoxue had toyed with the Phoenix King. She had even made up an identity to fool the Phoenix King. Apart from his admiration, he also felt that his master would do this because his master was a human. If he let a beast do this, even the Phoenix King would not have the ability to do so. Most importantly, he did not expect it to be like this. But now, after hearing his master's words, the Peacock King's not-so-smart brain had turned into mush. It's a secret. As long as you know, although I won't confront the Phoenix King directly, I won't let her go. Lung Ruoxue said with a mysterious look. Hearing her words, the peacocks were instantly depressed. The master said that he was giving them a lesson, but in the end he still kept them in suspense. Wasn't this bullying? One had to know that their curiosity was all piqued. How could master be like this? The peacock's gazes became even more resentful. However, Lung Ruoxue ignored them and said, As the master, I can't teach you everything step by step like I'm teaching a child. So, the feeling of using my wisdom can only be slowly experienced by you. Now, I'll let May and Baby teach you how to identify ordinary medicinal herbs. Take advantage of the time before we leave and try to pick all the ordinary medicinal herbs in the Phoenix territory for me, your master. Whoever picks the most will be rewarded. After Lung Ruoxue finished speaking, she immediately took out the succubus, Baby, Ling, Mo, and a few other beasts from the bangle. The moment these little beasts appeared, they immediately entered the zone and divided the peacocks into a few groups, teaching them separately. When the peacocks heard that there would be rewards, they naturally studied very seriously. On the other hand, many peacocks had a basic understanding of herbs and learned relatively quickly. As soon as they learned it, they immediately scattered like birds and beasts to collect ordinary herbs for their master. Most of the territory in the Phoenix Territory was the Phoenix Clan's territory. The affiliated beast clans that lived in the Phoenix Territory were naturally those that were stronger or had close ties with the Phoenix Clan. However, the Phoenix Clan only had the Phoenix King as their leader now, and the other beast clans were in Lung Ruox's hands. Hence, the peacocks gathered the ordinary herbs that the Phoenix Clan did not care about as if they were strolling in their own backyard. Not only did the beasts not stop them, the Eagle Clan and a few other beast clans, upon hearing that their masters were interested in those wild grass, also automatically helped to collect them. Their knowledge of medicinal herbs was naturally spread on the spot by the precious beasts. The Phoenix King had also received the news of this situation. However, she didn't take it seriously. The ordinary herbs in the Phoenix Territory were almost overflowing. Those things that were not worth much were not picked by any beast on normal days. Therefore, the Phoenix King did not even think about it and guessed that this must be the idea of that ugly monster, Lien Wu. The Peacock Clan was about to leave the Phoenix Territory. That ugly woman must be short of money to raise so many beasts. Those herbs might not be worth much in the eyes of the Phoenix King, but to human alchemists, they could still be sold for a price. However, to the rich Phoenix Clan, that price was too cheap. This was why the Phoenix King was not interested in the common herbs that could be found everywhere. This was also beneficial to Lung Ruoxue. Even though most of these herbs were fire attributed due to the geographical location, Lung Ruoxue needed them as long as they were herbs. She didn't care what attribute they were. After all, she had many fire-attributed beasts by her side. Very quickly, the ordinary herbs in Lung Ruoxue's bracelet had piled up into a small mountain. These herbs were the result of the beast's hard work for a day. When she saw these herbs, Lung Ruoxue could not help but sigh. It was still better to have more beasts. Look at the quality of the work. In order to reward the beasts for their hard work, Lung Ruoxue tried her best to change the food she ate. While the beasts were satisfied with their food, they were also more agile in their work. Thanks, all the beasts worked together for 3 days and finally collected all the ordinary herbs in the Phoenix Territory. They didn't even leave a single root for the Phoenix Clan. They had picked all of them. Other than being happy, Lung Ruoxue also gave out a few bottles of pills to each of the beasts as a reward. When the beasts saw this, they were all moved to tears. So, there's meat to eat if I follow master. There were pills to eat. Lung Ruoxue's heart ached when she saw how easily these beasts were satisfied. These beasts, none of them were sneaky when it came to doing work, but such a small favor made them shed tears of gratitude. They were really a group of honest children. Actually, according to Lung Ruoxue's thinking, since she had already bribed others and given them pills, she would naturally not be stingy with her beasts. The pills that she had given out were not considered precious in her heart. After all, as an alchemist who had no lack of herbs, the most she had were pills. Hence, she did not wish for these beasts to be so excited. As the master, he would not let his beastie suffer losses no matter what. After some thought, Lung Ruoxue said, "Calm down. Don't be reluctant to eat these pills. They'll give you more after you've finished them, so you can eat as much as you want." The pills she gave out were the most suitable for these beasts. Most of them were pills that increased Shen power and could be eaten as snacks. However, with her short understanding of these beasts, she guessed that they would most likely be reluctant to give it up, which was why she said this. Now, when the beasts heard her say this, they were even more excited. Immediately, some beasts couldn't help but take a pill and put it in their mouths. Then, they immediately sat down cross-legged to regulate their breathing. Not long after, that beastie actually advanced a rank in front of everyone's eyes, from a first-rank sacred beast to a second-rank sacred beast. All the beastie beasts were stunned when they saw this. Oh my God! Is this true? He actually advanced just like that? This was simply too unbelievable. After they came to their senses, the beasties went completely crazy. All the beasts opened the bottles and poured the pills into their mouths. Then they quickly sat down. A moment later, the laws of heaven and earth that had advanced in rank descended one after another. The Peacock clan's territory had become a paradise for advancement. Most of the beasts had advanced in rank. The weaker beasts naturally advanced in rank more, and the beasts had advanced at least one rank. After a long time, only then did the rank advancement craze end. When the beasts woke up, they could not hide the joy on their faces. The beasts were so excited that they couldn't speak. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.